Humph. Akainu said lightly. I don't know what your so-called new era looks like, but the new era in my eyes is definitely different from what you think. The two of us are not in the same way, so you don't expect us to cooperate. Seeing that Akainu always refused to agree, the smile on the dragon's face slowly faded, and he said in a deep voice, Sakazuki, I know you are the commander of the escort ship this time, although I don't know why you, Marine Admiral, I was reduced to escorting the heavenly gold, but my purpose is only one. If you give the heavenly gold to me, we will be in peace. What if I say no? Akainu asked. The dragon's eyes flickered, and said, then it won't be so easy for you to leave here today. Akainu sneered disdainfully. I just said that I didn't want to fight with me. How long has it been since I have changed my attitude? Do you think you can stop me with the bits and pieces of your revolutionary army? Or are you confident that you can kill me? Long said. I don't know if I can kill you, but this time is enough for our people to grab the gold from the sky. Akainu suddenly asked in astonishment. Aren't you planning to attack the escort ship? You brought me here because of this idea? Seeing Akainu's expression, Long's heart sighed and said, why, there is a problem. You really know how to plan. Akainu raised his finger at the dragon with a weird expression, and said, I thought that you led me here for another purpose, but I didn't expect you to try to lead me away and attack the escort ship. The information coming to you is really not enough. Long felt more and more wrong in his heart, and he asked, a fraud? Akainu had a kind of gloating thoughts, and said, I advise you to hurry up and support, otherwise your people will be wiped out. This time you obviously made a mistake. Your opponent is not me, but the world government. They have set up traps waiting for you to jump in. Long's face changed suddenly, regardless of Akainu, and rushed out quickly. Call everyone. Go to the port immediately, hurry up. Seeing that Long took people away quickly, Akainu did not stop him. Anyway, this time he only took a few of his own people, and the rest were replaced by CP0 people. So even if it caused personnel damage, he didn't care. Let world government CP0 and the people of the Revolutionary Army bite the dog. As for the dragon, he was not sure to keep the opponent. Instead of fighting with him, he still wouldn't let this big trouble be handed over to CP0. At this time, the battle in the port was indeed as expected by Akainu. After the unprepared Revolutionary Army attacked the escort ship, it immediately ushered in the well-prepared CP0 counterattack, even if the Revolutionary Army dispatched elite personnel this time. But CP0 was caught off guard, and the loss was extremely heavy. Fortunately, the dragon brought people to support in time, and the two sides fought an amazing battle. Especially under the dragon's ability, the whole island was like the end of the world, which was extremely terrifying. However, after the dragon appeared, he was not prepared to fight for a long time with the people of CP0, but quickly evacuated with his own people. After finally encountering the dragon, the people of CP0 were naturally unable to let him escape, so he desperately pursued it. Akainu appeared at the right time at this time. After seeing Akainu, a CP0 cadre suddenly yelled in dissatisfaction, Akainu, where have you been? Why have you only come now? Akainu snorted coldly, do I have to report to you where I go? The man's tone was stagnant, and he knew that he couldn't help Akainu, but now they need Akainu's power, so they said, the dragon of the Revolutionary Army came to attack, and now they fled in that direction, you quickly go and help. You must catch the dragon alive. Did the dragon show up? Akainu looked surprised, and then said, okay, I'll go after it now. You stay here and look forward to the heavenly gold. After speaking, he immediately chased after the dragon and the others. Most of the people in CP0 chased the dragon, leaving only a small number of people to guard the golden escort ship in the sky. This chase lasted for more than an hour, but Akainu and CP0 people killed a lot of people from the Revolutionary Army, but it was a pity that the dragon and others at the head were still escaped by them. Boom. The white suit of CP0 angrily stepped out of a big pit on the ground. It was he who fought the dragon just now, and he was only close to catching the dragon, so he was so angry. Akainu, why did you show up so late? If you show up earlier and join hands with me, now that the dragon has been caught, where did you just go? Without catching the dragon, he transferred his anger to Akainu. In his opinion, if Akainu was there just now, the two of them will join forces and they will definitely have a great chance of capturing the dragon. You must know that this opportunity is the only chance in a few years. There was a chance to directly touch the dragon, but the opponent disappeared before his eyes. How could he not be angry? Akainu also said coldly, according to you, you didn't catch the dragon. It's all on me. It's funny. I'm just helping you, not listening to your orders. All of this is your own cause. What do you mean? The man in the white suit asked uncomfortably. Akainu said, if you let them snatch the gold in the sky as I said, we can find more useful information as long as we follow, but you don't listen, you have to capture the dragon alive. If the dragon is really that easy if he is caught, he won't be able to live until now. Then you mean, All this is my responsibility. The white suit took a deep breath and asked. Akainu said. I don't have the time to talk to you about these useless nonsense. Long escaped from my hand back then. I want to catch him more than you do. Instead of entangled with me here, you might as well think about it. How should I explain to your master when I go back? After finishing talking, he stopped talking nonsense, and just turned and left. Now this guy is anxious. As he said, if the dragon was caught so easily, the revolutionary army would have been destroyed long ago. Even if you add him, you want to leaving the dragon is probably not so easy. After seeing Akainu's attitude, the man in the white suit became even more angry, but he also had no choice but to take Akainu. This time Akainu's outing was indeed a bit strange, but if Akainu was secretly colluding with the revolutionary army, he would not believe this. He was just dissatisfied with Akainu's attitude. It was obvious that Akainu didn't use all his strength when he first pursued it. It was more like watching their jokes, and he didn't work hard. But when they returned to the port, they were shocked by the horror of the port. They were fine when they left, but now, there are corpses everywhere. What shocked them the most was that the 2 heavenly golden escort ships disappeared. What happened? The white suit was even more shocked. At this time, the former CP0 cadre ran over with scars and said, My lord, a group of pirates just came here, and they took the gold from the sky. What did you say? The white suit lifted the man up. He saw this scene before and thought it was the revolutionary army, thinking they were slamming them, but he didn't expect that it was not the revolutionary army but the pirates. But how could there be pirates here? Pirate. Where did the pirate come from? Can't you even deal with a group of pirates? The man in the white suit was originally angry because he hadn't caught the revolutionary army, but now he heard that his man was defeated by a group of pirates, and even the gold in the sky was lost, so he was naturally more angry. Boom. Angrily, he kicked the revolutionary cadre in front of him directly, without paying any attention to Akainu's presence, and angrily asked, Where are the pirates? One person walked over with trepidation and replied, We don't know how the pirates appeared here, and the other party didn't play the pirate flag, but there were so many of them that they defeated us and snatched it away. There is gold in the sky. The white suit shouted angrily. I ask you where they are. Where are they? They fled in that direction. The man quickly replied. The white suit was about to chase after him, but he stopped shortly after moving, and turned to Akainu and said, Akainu, it is your marine's responsibility to catch the pirates. Do you know the origin of those pirates? Akainu said silently, I haven't seen them. You ask me, who do I ask? The white suit said solemnly, the first half of the Grand Line was under your marine's control. There were even pirates who dared to attack the ships of the world government and snatch the gold from the sky. What did your marine do? Akainu sneered. According to you, the world is still controlled by the world government, so why are there so many revolutionary army and pirates? You are enough. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Don't forget that you are the master of this action. Don't even think of buckling a shitbowl on my head. Lousy doesn't bother to serve you. After speaking, Akainu took his men aboard the ship without greeting them, and left directly in the warship. This bastard, just leave if something happens. The CP0 people were all angry when they saw Akainu leading people away. One of them said in a low voice, Boss, or we will put the blame on Akainu this time, saying that he colluded with the pirates and the revolutionary army robbed the gold of heaven? The white suit immediately looked at him like an idiot and yelled, Are you stupid? You came up with this idea? Although he was also extremely upset with Akainu, he never thought about it. No one in the ocean knew Akainu's attitude towards the pirates. He framed him for colluding with the pirates. He didn't believe it anymore. Would 5 elders and celestial dragons believe it? But for the revolutionary army, it's really a bit operability. I don't think Akainu will collude with the pirates, but when it comes to the revolutionary army, his eyes suddenly change. He also thinks that this time things are very strange. How could the revolutionary army catch an attack when Akainu is away? Even if it has nothing to do with him, let him take joint and several responsibility. He has made a decision. Whether the people above believe it or not, he must express his own thoughts. Nothing else. At the very least, he can make the people above be suspicious of Akainu. They have a hard time, and they can't make Akainu feel better. Akainu naturally didn't know what CP0 people thought. He took his own people and quickly left the CP0 people's site, and then headed towards naval headquarters. He didn't stop at an island port until the 3rd day. Down. Grown-ups. A young man dressed in purple came to Akainu's face and called to Akainu respectfully. Sit. Akainu released his observation haki until no one was watching him, so he let this person sit in front of him. After the other person sat down, he said, You did a very good job this time, Haiwo. Germany. The young man sitting across from Akainu is named Hayward. Speaking of this man, one has to talk about more than 6 years ago, when he bet with Zephyr and took 30 recruits from Zephyr's commander, and Hayward in front of him is one of them. Although Hayward is not the best talent among the 30 recruits, his willpower and intelligence are the most optimistic about Akainu, and this person is very ordinary and good at hiding himself, so Akainu chose him. When recruiting was being evaluated, at the time when the pirates were fighting on that island, a recruit disappeared. Everyone thought he was dead, but only Akainu knew that the recruit did not die, but complied with Akainu. The order of hiding created the illusion of his own death, and that person was Hayward. In fact, Hayward was selected by Akainu to send him on an undercover mission, and Hayward agreed. So after that time, he abandoned his marine identity, changed his appearance and became a pirate. In this blink of an eye, more than 5 years have passed. During this time, Akainu contacted him once a year to provide him with sufficient resources and intelligence, and Hayward did not live up to his expectations. He successfully became a pirate and sneaked into the first half of the Grand Line. A large group of pirates in the paragraph. Hayward's name in Marine is not this, but he took this name after leaving Marine. Compared with the previous novice, this Hayward is a truly qualified undercover agent. He perfectly completed the task assigned to him by Akainu. In a few years, he became an important figure in the large pirate group. This time he instigated the attack on the Heavenly Gold. This is what I should do. Hayward respects Akainu very much. Although his current status is not Marine, he is still very loyal to Akainu and obeys Akainu's orders for no reason. But what should we do next? With the ability of the world government, even if we didn't reveal our identity when we looted, they would definitely find us. Akainu said, "How are those pirates now?" Hayward replied, "They are still immersed in the joy of seizing the gold from the sky, completely unaware of the imminent catastrophe." Akainu patted Hayward on the shoulder and said, "It's hard for you to live among those pirates, but this kind of life won't last long. Then you have to be prepared to act alone." Hayward asked in surprise, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Akainu said, "The gang of pirates is over. You need to change your status. The World Summit will soon announce a new decision. The world government will establish 7 warlords of the sea, which is a system for the 4 emperors of the New World pirates." Next, Akainu talked to him about the specific content and plan of 7 warlords of the sea, and Hayward was shocked. Akainu said, "I want you to quickly make your name, Shichibukai's position, and I want to keep one for you in the next time." Hayward frowned and said, "According to the idea of the world government, 7 warlords of the sea must be a pirate who needs a strong, but my current strength is very average, not enough to assume the position of Shichibukai, right?" Akainu said, "I have already thought about this. Do you remember what I said before? I want to give you a reward." As he said, he took out a small box from his body, placed it in front of Hayward, and said, "This is for you. You can open it." Hayward opened the box curiously, his eyes widened when he saw the contents inside, and he exclaimed in surprise, "This is devil fruit." No wonder Hayward was surprised, because Akainu really gave him a devil fruit. He has been in the pirate world for a few years. He naturally knows the preciousness of devil fruit. Even the most common zone devil fruit is of value. Hundreds of millions of Baileys can greatly improve the strength of people. And the devil fruit in front of me, from the appearance point of view, is obviously not an ordinary zone, but a devil fruit belonging to Paramecia. But Hayward is not very familiar with devil fruit, and does not know what kind of devil fruit it is. "My lord, is this really for me?" Hayward stared at Akainu with scorching eyes. When he spoke, he couldn't help swallowing his mouth. He knew his talent very well, compared with the shortcomings, more than the next, but wanted to become a super strong by relying on such talents. Obviously, the hope is not too great, so being able to get devil fruit is definitely the most beneficial step for him to become a strong one. Akainu said, "Of course, this devil fruit is a reward for you, and this fruit is the most suitable for your actions. It took me a lot of effort to get it." Hayward looked at Akainu gratefully. In fact, when he agreed to become an undercover pirate, he was somewhat reluctant, because in his opinion, the future in Marine was far brighter than undercover. It's just that Akainu promised him a lot of benefits and analyzed it with him for a long time. Although he is stable in Marine, he wants to develop better. With his qualifications and no background, his future is not very good. On the contrary, after agreeing to Akainu, he became one of Akainu's most trusted people. Although the process is difficult, the future is definitely great. It was because of Akainu that he became a pirate, and Ishin dedicated his service to Akainu. Fortunately, Akainu never treated him badly, and provided him with sufficient resources and money to allow him to carry out tasks as he pleased. In fact, even if Akainu didn't give him this devil fruit, he would do his best for Akainu, but now that Akainu gave him this devil fruit, his loyalty to Akainu is more stable. "Then, I will accept it." Hayward licked his lips and said nervously. Akainu pushed devil fruit to him and said, "This was originally for you. This is a Paramecia devil fruit, the fruit of the door. Its power is..." That's right. What he took out was the Paramecia door fruit, which is the devil fruit taken by the CP9 agent Bluno in the anime. This devil fruit is the treasure in the heavenly gold enshrined in the previous 2 countries and was discovered by him. Take it out afterwards. Although the number of treasures of the heavenly gold is recorded, Akainu is not worried about being discovered, because he is sure that this batch of heavenly gold will not reach Marie Joyce smoothly, so he unscrupulously took the devil fruit. Although the people of CP0 took over the celestial gold, their main goal was the revolutionary army. Celestial gold was only incidental, so they did not conduct a strict investigation of the celestial gold. Naturally, it is impossible to know that the fruit of the door was taken by Akainu. Ends. It was also decided after Akainu thought about it for a long time to hand the Menmenguo to Hayward. In the anime, the ability of the Menmenguo Bluno is not strong, but this is not the reason for the Menmenguo. On the contrary, in Akainu's eyes, Menmen fruit is definitely ranked high among all devil fruits. The door fruit may not have the terrifying lethality like Logia, but its ability is very terrible. It can open the door when it touches any object. This is just like teleporting, and it can also take people away, even stay in the open alien space. To be honest, if he didn't have the lava fruit himself, he would definitely use this fruit by himself, because in his brain, there are too many ways to develop the fruit, but it's a pity that he couldn't take it after he got the fruit. He could only give it to his subordinates. His most trusted subordinates are the ghost spiders and a few people, but the ghost spiders don't want to take devil fruit, and the origin of the door fruit is hard to say, so it's better not to give it to his private soldiers. It happens that Hayward is an undercover agent. He is very useful and loyal to him. It is definitely very suitable to give him Menmenguo. Not to mention other methods of using Menmenguo, just to pass on information to him. Or contacting him is definitely the most reliable way. So in the end, he handed the door fruit to Hayward. With the door fruit, coupled with his guidance, even if Hayward's talent is not superb, he should still have such a certain degree of certainty to become a Shichibukai level existence. Hayward has been listening carefully to Akainu's narration. He knows that with Akainu's guidance, he can avoid many detours. The ability of this fruit is roughly the same. You develop it according to the direction I said, and when it reaches a certain level, I will tell you other directions. Akainu said a lot at once, but about the development of the fruit of the door, he only said part of it. It was not that he hid it, but that Hayward had not eaten the fruit after all. He didn't know much about the ability of the fruit, blindly. Multi-direction development will only waste time. It is better to focus on a part first, and then develop other directions after the master is available. Hayward ate the whole devil fruit in front of Akainu. When he ate it, his expression became very tangled. It was uglier than eating shit. Even the facial muscles that Akainu saw were turbulent. Fortunately, I have not personally experienced the process of eating devil fruit. I really can't imagine how unpalatable devil fruit is. After eating devil fruit, Hayward took a few sips of water to recover, but he was not upset because of the unpalatable food. Instead, he was full of excitement. He is now a capable person. After he calmed down, he asked Akainu, "My lord, what should I do next? The world government will definitely find us. The heavenly gold is definitely not in the hands of the pirates. Should we take that batch of money? Heavenly gold too?" Although he did not go on, Akainu already understood what he meant. Akainu shook his head and said, "No, this batch of heavenly gold is too conspicuous. No matter how seamless we do, we will be spotted. It is not a good thing to keep it in my hands. We still have to send it out." Hearing Akainu's words, Hayward suddenly asked in astonishment, "Send it out? How can it be sent out?" He really didn't understand Akainu's thoughts. He thought that Akainu asked him to cut off the gold in the sky, intending to keep it for himself, but he didn't expect that Akainu didn't think so at all. Instead, he was going to send it out. But how do you send gold this day? To whom? Who dares to ask for it? Naturally, some people dare to ask, Akainu said confidently. He didn't say it directly, but let Hayward think for himself. After Hayward thought for a while, his eyes lit up and he asked, "My lord, are you talking about the Revolutionary Army and dare to confront the world government? I am afraid that only the Revolutionary Army will be the only ones with strength." Akainu nodded and said, "You have a good response. I am talking about the Revolutionary Army." Hayward asked puzzledly, "But the Revolutionary Army is also our enemy. Giving heavenly gold to the opponent is equivalent to being an enemy. Is this really good?" Akainu said, "The Revolutionary Army is indeed our enemy, but the world government's actions are unreasonable. The whole world was messed up by them. The heavenly gold was sent to Marie Joyce, and it was only for the enjoyment of the celestial dragons. Granting heavenly gold can save so many lives. Which one do you think is more cost-effective?" Hayward was silent. Of course he knew this very well. After being Akainu's confidant for so long, he naturally knew his own adult's thoughts. Akainu did not consider himself a part of the world government at all, otherwise he would not let him. He has done something to rob the gold of the sky. Although this is a bit rebellious, Hayward did not question Akainu's decision. He is only loyal to Akainu. As for the world government, celestial dragons, and marine, they have nothing to do with him. What Akainu asks him to do, he just do what. Akainu said, then it's time to test you. I want you to send this batch of heavenly gold to the Revolutionary Army, and you can't let them see the clues. Can you do something? Hayward thought for a moment, and then said, the pirates will definitely not listen to me, so if you want this batch of heavenly gold, you can only save those pirates. Now the Revolutionary Army does not know the whereabouts of the heavenly gold, so someone is needed. Tell them the whereabouts of the gold in the sky. As long as they know the whereabouts of the gold in the sky, the pirates can't stop them. Akainu nodded and said, you are right, so it's time for you to perform. Hayward asked, my lord, what do you want me to do? Akainu said, I ask you to find the dragon, just do it. He told Hayward of his plan, but he added another sentence at the end, saying, it's just that Monkey D dragon is not so easy to deal with. If you come into contact with him, I am very worried about your safety. He has been in contact with dragons for so long, and he naturally knows what kind of person a dragon is. Don't look at his noble thoughts, but in fact, dragon is definitely a cruel person. He will get rid of the person blocking his way without hesitation. Just like he had to deal with Akainu before. Hayward's face changed a few times, and he said, I am sending him information. He won't touch me yet, right? Not sure. Akainu shook his head and said, ordinary people may not do this, but dragons are different. He is a very ambitious man. There is no right or wrong for this kind of person. There is only interest and you have to guard against, so you must not approach him easily. To keep a certain distance, and use the door fruit to leave at critical moments. If it weren't for you to eat the door fruit now, I really wouldn't dare let you go to him. The dragon is very strong, even 10 Hayward are not opponents, but Hayward now has the fruit of the door. Even if the dragon wants to do it, Hayward has a certain way to save his life, so he will let the Sea Ward took the risk. But whether to do it or not, Akainu didn't force the order, but waited for Hayward to decide by himself. Hayward thought for a long time, before gritted his teeth and said, I have done it, I have to go for a fight in my life. The other party is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. I also want to see how strong such a person is. Seeing Hayward's decision, Akainu was more satisfied, which shows that Hayward's mentality has changed. He already has a strong spirit, which is a major element of becoming a strong man. If he chooses to escape, Akainu will not do anything to him, he will only be disappointed, and he will not be given more important tasks in the future, because such a person does not have the courage to do big things. Then you must be careful. Long's mood at this time was really not very good. He had made such a mistake in the process of the heavenly gold, which he was aiming to obtain. CP0 participated in the operation, but he did not obtain any information. Such a major mistake almost caused the Revolutionary Army. The elite of the army was wiped out. Fortunately, Akainu did not try to stop him in the end, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Long, don't be so melancholy. Normal people will make mistakes. This time it's just that our intelligence is not in place. You don't need to be like that. A very coquettishly dressed person who was obviously a man but was as coquettish as a woman smiled and persuaded Long. Long Shen said, Ivankov, you don't understand. This time a little error caused our entire army to be wiped out. We must take such an important mistake as a warning. This time the responsibility lies with me, because my intelligence work has not been done well. A man wearing a bear-shaped helmet with a cigarette in his mouth suddenly said that he was the intelligence controller of the Revolutionary Army base. The intelligence of the Revolutionary Army was basically from him. This time CP0 suddenly appeared, and he was also an afterthought. I just received the information, but it was too late by then. Long said, it's not anyone's responsibility. The main responsibility lies with me, but fortunately everyone escaped safely. Only a small number of our companions died in battle, but then we will be more cautious. However, our operations in Alia and Kostyka have already begun, and it is too late to stop. If there is not enough financial support, it is likely to lead to the failure of the revolution. Someone said. Long Shen said. Just use the funds and weapons of our base. These two countries have done brutal and inhuman things in order to become members of the world government. This opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and we cannot give up. It is now a dozen years ago in the story of the pirates, but the Revolutionary Army has completed its initial creation, and the tasks of each cadre are all assigned to each other. It is a relatively mature organization. The previous intelligence officer said, but the only thing I'm more fortunate about is that after we left, the world government's celestial gold seemed to be taken away by a pirate force. Hee. There is such a courageous pirate in the first half of the Grand Line. How dare to rob the gold of the sky? I really want to know who is so courageous. At this time, there are still a few days before the heavenly gold was robbed. The Revolutionary Army who has been following naturally got the news, so they are a little gloat. In their eyes, the heavenly gold fell in the hands of the pirates, even more than it fell in the celestial dragons' good hands. Just as Long and the others were discussing, a person suddenly rushed in. This person's identity was obviously not low. After running in, everyone didn't scold him. Long just asked indifferently, "What's wrong?" The visitor immediately replied, "Chief, something has happened. A pirate found our stronghold and said that he wanted to meet you and talk to you about important things." "A pirate wants to see me." Long was surprised. He was a Revolutionary Army and had nothing to do with the pirates. How could the pirates find him and still find their Revolutionary Army stronghold, which is not something ordinary people can do? The other party is really a pirate? Has his identity been confirmed? As the leader of the Revolutionary Army, he was more cautious than most people. The pirates found his stronghold. This is definitely the first time in history. Moreover, the other party actually named him by name and wanted to meet him. There are important things to talk to him, which makes him very surprised and puzzled. The person who came to report replied, "This person is not a well-known pirate, so we do not have his information, but according to him, he is the C of the pirate group that robbed the world government's heavenly gold thief." What? As soon as these words came out, all the cadres of the Revolutionary Army, including Long, were shocked. He really said that? Yes, he did say that. Long quickly stood up and said, "Bring him here immediately." The other party does not want to see other people, but only wants to see the leader, and hopes that you will meet at the place he has set. Upon hearing this, the cadres who were shocked before all showed a suspicious look. When the other party did this, they felt very wrong, so someone immediately spoke. "Dragon, I'm afraid there will be fraud. Yes, it's better not to go, or let's go together. Do not rule out the conspiracy of world government CP0. The cadres of the Revolutionary Army all thought that this might be a conspiracy, so they all advised Long not to go. Only a few people did not speak, as if they had different opinions. The dragon stopped the noise and said, "The other party can find our stronghold. Obviously, it is not just an ordinary pirate. As for you to say that he is CP0, this is even more impossible. If CP0 knows about us, the stronghold will not be this way, but will be directly besieged. The other party is the pirate who plundered the heavenly gold. At this time, it must be about the heavenly gold. I thought that the heavenly gold this time had no maneuver. Now it seems that things have changed. I also think I can go and see." At this time, some people agreed with Long's statement and suggested that he go to meet the pirate for a while. In the end, Long naturally decided to meet the pirate for a while, and refused other people's company, and went to the place set by the pirate alone. Yoron's person is naturally Hayward, and the Revolutionary Army's stronghold is provided to him by Akainu. Although Akainu has only placed Novus in the Revolutionary Army over the years, it does not mean that Novus has betrayed. He didn't have any information, and compared to Akainu, Novus was still a little tenderer. As for the place for the appointment, Hayward didn't make a special choice. It was a very ordinary open location with a good view, which was also convenient for him to escape. He only showed up after seeing the dragon coming alone. "You are the pirate who wants to see me?" Long asked after seeing Hayward. Hayward looked at the dragon and asked, "Are you the leader of the Revolutionary Army?" He had never seen a dragon, because when he entered Marine, the dragon had already defected, so there was no chance to see a dragon. This was the first time he saw a dragon, so naturally he had to confirm it. Long said, "I am the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and you want to see me?" Hayward nodded and said, "I want to see you. If you can come alone, it means you are still keeping your promise." Long asked, "You said that you were a pirate who robbed the heavenly gold. You came to me to talk to me about the heavenly gold, right?" Seeing the dragon directly asked about the gold in the sky, Hayward didn't make any further temptations. "Yes, I am really looking for you for heavenly gold, and heavenly gold was robbed by our pirate group." Long's eyes shrank and said, "It's really not easy for you to be able to rob the heavenly gold under the eyelids of the world government and ours. It's just that I never knew there were such courageous pirates in the first half of the Grand Line, you guys. Which pirate group is it?" Hayward said, "Our pirate group is not well known. It was my idea to rob the heavenly gold this time, but I am not the captain. I just used it a little bit because I got some useful information. Able to seize heavenly gold. Since the gold in the sky has been captured by you, why are you looking for me?" Long asked, puzzled. Hayward's face suddenly showed anger, and he said cruelly, "Those guys are already crazy. They are stunned by the wealth of heavenly gold, and they want to swallow heavenly gold." Long Wenyan was stunned. What's the situation? Isn't the pirate snatching heavenly gold just for treasure? Why didn't the pirate in front of him look like this, but instead blamed his companions for it? What do you mean? Hayward took a breath and said, "Before I became a pirate, I was a member of the Kingdom of Alria. Although I was forced to become a pirate, I have never forgotten my hometown. Yes, originally I told them that if I grabbed the heavenly gold, I had to divide half of it to me, and I would return it to the people. When he said this, his expression became extremely angry. But who knows that those guys are greedy and sexual, they have violated the previous agreement and are ready to swallow all the treasures. Naturally, I would not want them to do that. They violated the agreement. Promises will cost them, but my strength alone is not enough to fight them. So you found me. The dragon's eyes flashed, and said, although you are very organized, I don't believe a word. A pirate will remember his hometown and think of returning the heavenly gold to the citizens of his hometown. This kind of thing, do you think I will believe it? Hayward said coldly. It's your business to believe or not, it has nothing to do with me. I am looking for you, just want to cooperate with you. Long asked. How do you want to cooperate? Hayward said, even if I have the power to grab revolving heaven and return it to the people, it is impossible for them to keep this wealth. In the end, they will be taken away by the nobles and royal families of the country. Although I have no good feelings for your revolutionary army, I also know that your revolution is for the oppressed, so I can help you get that batch of gold, but you must help my country and use your strength to the nobles and royal families of the country are brought down, so that all citizens can live a life free of oppression. Long moved slightly in his heart and said, I admire your ideas, but I still don't believe you. Hearing the dragon's words, Hayward's expression suddenly became extremely hideous. He pointed at the dragon angrily and shouted, Why? Why? Are you not a revolutionary army? Are you not trying to overthrow this decadent world? Now. My country needs you. Why do you ignore it? I told you everything, but in exchange for your unbelief one sentence after another, just because I am a pirate. In your eyes, a pirate is evil. A pirate cannot work for his country. What we want is freedom, freedom without oppression. Why are those nobles unwilling to let us go, and you unwilling to save us? Looking at Hayward roaring with excitement, Long Shen said, because of this, we have to be more careful. We are the last hope of the world. If you were to be you, we would easily believe in what a stranger did. Say something. Hayward took a few deep breaths, forced himself to calm down, then fell silent, before replying a moment later, no. After a pause, he asked again, then what do you need to do so that you will believe me? Gold in the sky. Long didn't say anything else, but slowly said 3 words. Hayward's face was gloomy, and after hesitating for a long time, he asked, I can tell you where the gold is in the sky, but if you didn't promise me afterwards, wouldn't I be a big loser? Long said, there is no loss in this kind of thing. Just like you don't believe me, I don't believe you either, but as long as you can guarantee that the heavenly gold is real, then I can agree to your request, because this is what our revolutionary army should do. In fact, even if Hayward did not say these conditions, he was prepared to do so, but in that case, their revolutionary army would have to pay a lot, and they would be able to do well this time with the heavenly gold, so he just wanted to get it now. Heaven is gold. Hayward pondered for a long time and said, okay, I'm willing to take a gamble. Long did not speak, but his expression was obviously very satisfied, but he still remained vigilant. Hayward said, our pirate group base is. The revolutionary army moved very fast. After learning the specific location from Hayward, it immediately launched its action. Although the power of the pirate group that Hayward belongs to is good in the first half of the Grand Line, it is far from the revolutionary army. Although the current revolutionary army is not as large as it was later, it is only based on strength. In terms of speaking, it will definitely not be worse than any pirate emperor, it will only be stronger. Under this huge gap, the pirate regiment had no resistance at all, and was directly wiped out by the revolutionary army, and all the heavenly gold they received fell into the hands of the revolutionary army. The amount of this heavenly gold is really a lot. In fact, Akainu has a chance to take it for himself, but he didn't do that. He didn't even take it at all except for the fruit of the door, because he felt that the money was full. Bloody and cruel are the hard-earned money of those miserable civilians. This is different from the treasure he robbed from the pirates in the past, and he can't use it. Well, I didn't lie to you, right? You should fulfill your promise, right? After finishing all this, Hayward met with the dragon again, and said to the dragon calmly. There was indeed no problem in this process, so although Long still had some doubts in his heart, he had no doubt about Hayward. After all, no one could face such a large sum of money and give it to others. Long said, to tell you the truth, we have already been prepared in the kingdom of Aurea, and we have already begun to act. It was only because of insufficient funds, so there was no large-scale operation. After we got this heavenly gold, I will definitely fulfill my promise to you. He originally thought Hayward would be angry when he heard this, but who knew that Hayward was not angry at all, but rather calmly said, I don't want to know so much, I just want to see you can save me, although it has not treated me very well. Our ancestors have been in this country for dozens of generations. I don't want it to die. Perhaps it was because Hayward's acting skills were too good, or things went too smoothly, so Long's suspicion of him has been reduced a lot. Hayward, if you want to do something for your hometown, why don't you do it yourself? Hayward smiled bitterly and said, me? Although I think I have some strength, compared to a country, it is not worth mentioning, and I am a pirate. Who do you think would believe in a pirate? Long said, why don't you join our revolutionary army, and we will work together for the future of this world. After speaking, he kept his eyes on Hayward, not wanting to let go of any clues on Hayward's face. Hearing this, Hayward suddenly hesitated. At the beginning, his face was obviously moved, but after a while, he immediately shook his head and said, no, I am a pirate. I am also used to sailing freely at sea, and I am not as noble as you think, so I can't do the cause of your revolutionary army. Hearing Hayward's answer, Long was obviously surprised, because he had just seen Hayward's movement, but the other party finally changed his attitude, which made him very puzzled. Hayward, things on the sea are not as simple as you think. If you continue to be a pirate, but facing naval headquarters, there may be danger. You really don't think about it? Hayward suddenly smiled and said, pirates will indeed be hunted by marine, but I am used to it. Not to mention joining your revolutionary army, you will also be wanted by the world government. There is no difference. Instead of living in hiding, I prefer now. State of life. Perhaps he realized that his words were not right, so he immediately explained, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to belittle you, I just. It's okay, I know what you mean. Long felt sorry for Hayward's refusal. He said, since this is your choice, then I respect your choice. If you encounter trouble in the future, you can come to me at any time. Hayward had nothing to ask for, which also made Long completely relieved, so he relaxed a lot. This time Hayward really helped him a lot. That batch of heavenly gold can greatly improve the strength of their revolutionary army. If this is the case, then I will leave first. After Hayward greeted the dragon, he left, leaving only the dragon with a pensive expression. Long was indeed very curious. It was not that he was too suspicious. It was that Hayward was too noble this time. He certainly didn't believe that a pirate could do this kind of thing, but Hayward made him change a lot. Does he really do it for his country? What a strange guy. He has sent people to investigate Hayward, but he has not obtained any useful information, because the hometown that Hayward said has disappeared a few years ago and was flattened by the country's nobles, so he did not investigate either. What a useful information. My lord, things have been done smoothly. After leaving the dragon's sight, Hayward immediately used his abilities to disappear and contacted Akainu. Akainu naturally received the news. He said with satisfaction, Hayward, you did a great job this time. Hayward smiled and said, all of this is your plan, your lord, but I see that the revolutionary army dragon, he still doesn't seem to trust me that much, and even inviting me to join the revolutionary army is just a perfunctory thing. I refused. After that, he didn't even want to stay. Akainu snorted coldly, and said, this is normal. The dragon is suspicious by nature and the leader of the revolutionary army. Although you behave well, the more you do this, the less he will let go of your guard. As acting too noble? So he was suspicious? Hayward asked suspiciously. Akainu said, you are indeed too noble, but this also just diverts his attention. He can neither pick out your fault nor prove that you have another plot, so the best way is to let you leave. Anyway, they have already got the heavenly gold, and it makes no difference to him with or without you. Hayward said with lingering fear, this person is too deep in the city mansion, I still don't want to contact him in the future. Akainu said, you are right, you should not contact him in the future. Your goal is to become 7 warlords of the sea, so in the next time you have to make a name in the first half of the Grand Line as soon as possible. New World, I will try to pave the way for you. After this World Summit, 7 warlords of the sea will be implemented. At that time, the world government will quickly select suitable pirates, so time is very tight for them, only 1 or 2 years at most. Hayward's face solemnly replied, my lord, don't worry, I will try my best and I won't let you down. He had already learned about the role and power of 7 warlords of the sea from Akainu, so he was naturally very excited. From an unknown little pirate to Shichibukai, who became famous, he would do his best to become a famous person. Go, he is no exception. After returning to naval headquarters, Akainu just met with Sengoku and explained the main situation of the mission. Sengoku will naturally not blame Akainu for the loss of the heavenly gold, because this is not his task, and this time the loss of the heavenly gold cannot be blamed on Akainu. Past. Even 5 elders' decision to blame Akainu through a phone worm was suppressed by Sengoku, because it seemed to him to be nonsense. CP0 actually said that Akainu is connected with the revolutionary army, which Sengoku absolutely does not. I would believe it, not because he was protecting Akainu, but because he thought it was impossible. Akainu and dragons are both owners of Conqueror's Hawkeye, and even Akainu's reputation surpasses dragons to some extent, so it is impossible for Akainu to work for dragons. Sakazuki. As soon as Akainu returned to his residence, an angry shout filled his ears, followed by a strong wind. He quickly flashed to the side, and suddenly a figure appeared in the place where he was standing before, also accompanied by the vibration of the ground. Yeah, isn't this Garp, Vice Admiral? Even if you want to welcome me back, there is no need for such a big battle, right? Seeing that the person behind the attack was Garp, Akainu was not surprised at all. Those who dared to attack him in naval headquarters, besides Garp, it is difficult to find a second person. He also knows why Garp is so angry, but still pretends to be one. An innocent look. Garp pointed angrily at Akainu, a strong man like iron. At this moment, his lips were trembling, and he shouted angrily, Sakazuki, you bastard boy, you dare to give Lousy medicine, so Lousy can't get up for 3 days. Shame on Grandma's house, you bastard, Lousy is going to kill you. Thinking of the scene after that day, he became furious. Akainu actually gave him an aphrodisiac. If it weren't for his strong willpower, I'm afraid he would harm people. In the end, he didn't harm people. He endured it by himself, and the result was extremely weak for 3 days. Those 3 days of weakness were really the weakest days in his history. Even if he was seriously injured in the face of a powerful enemy, he was not so miserable. In 3 days, he could hardly get out of bed and even eat. It was fed by someone else. If it weren't for the rest of his body to be healthy, I'm afraid he would really think he was seriously ill. Especially in those 3 days, the news of his illness spread quickly. Many people came to visit him and saw his frail appearance. Many people were scared to death, and they really thought he could do it. Now, some people even cried and cried, which made him angry. Of course, these are not the most important thing. The most important thing is that I don't know which guy came out of the rumor that he became like this because he took aphrodisiacs. Such rumors spread almost quickly. Naval headquarters, after he heard it himself, he, who was already very weak, fainted on the spot. The rumors of Garp Vice Admiral taking aphrodisiac have been raging in naval headquarters, so that even after the 3-day period of weakness, Garp dare not show up in front of others, just hide in his own residence. Regarding the culprit of Akainu, Garp was naturally deeply sick. He sent someone to stare at Akainu. After he knew that Akainu had returned to naval headquarters, he immediately rushed over to prepare for revenge, so the scene just happened. Garp Vice Admiral, no matter how angry you are, there is no need to do it with me here. Akainu understands Garp's anger. If it is him, he will be as angry as Garp, even more exaggerated, but they are not in a good position now, but there are many people watching them coming and going. Garp glanced fiercely around, and shouted to those who watched the excitement, F*K me everything. Don't look at Garp's usual peace, but when he gets angry, it's still quite terrifying. The soldiers who were going to watch the excitement are all scattered in a rush, how far they go. You, come with Lousy. Garp pointed to Akainu, then turned his head and walked away. After 2 steps, he turned his head and shouted, if your kid dares to cheat, Lousy promises not to let you go. Akainu gave a wry smile. He was not ready to run. This matter was indeed his responsibility. He was guilty of Garp once. Although he didn't hurt Garp's body, it made Garp's mind suffer a huge blow, even if it was him. This kind of person, who usually has a thick skin to a certain extent, can't stand being so pointed. Following it, it was the indoor training ground. After Akainu came in, Garp smashed his fist. This time Garp used all his strength. Even if Akainu resisted desperately, he was repaired miserably. Although his nose and face were not swollen, his face also had a few more bruises, not to mention his body. Of course, all of this is also meant by Akainu's initiative. Otherwise Garp wants to beat him like this. I am afraid that he will not be able to overturn this indoor training ground. Garp stopped fighting for several hours, and he looked at Akainu in a miserable state, and his anger was mostly gone. Boy, dare you treat Lousy like this in the future? Akainu laughed and said, no, there will never be another time. Garp hummed twice. Akainu, who is usually strong enough to ultimate, gave him a smile. He was still very happy. After he was refreshed, he asked, what happened to the donut that day? You really played inside. Got the medicine. But why don't I feel it all? Although he hadn't taken that kind of medicine, he did research after this incident. The kind of medicine tasted more or less, and the donuts he ate that day had nothing but the taste of donuts. The taste is still the same as before, so he doesn't understand how Akainu drugged him. Akainu said, that's a kind of powder that I got accidentally, and it was sprinkled on the donut, so you didn't feel it. So, no wonder I don't feel it at all. Garp nodded his head, looking like something happened. In fact, he didn't even think that Akainu would cheat him, so he ate it so fast. Even if there was a peculiar smell at the time, he would probably eat it. He blinked, and suddenly asked, do you still have stock? What? Akainu was taken aback and asked, you ask me if I have any stocks. Garp shouted. Of course, do you think it was so easy to take over? Do you know what lousy has been laughed at during this time? It has become a joke of naval headquarters. I have never so embarrassing. Do you think it's enough to give me a beat? It's not that easy. Akainu asked helplessly. Okay, what are you going to do? Garp said, don't talk nonsense. Give me your inventory, this thing just passed. Akainu looked at Garp, and he immediately understood Garp's thoughts. The old guy was obviously making a bad idea and was planning to use his food to harm others, or even himself. He didn't want to give it, but he met Garp's threatening gaze. He smiled bitterly, knowing that if he didn't agree to Garp, he might keep pestering him in the future. Although he is not afraid of Garp, he also knows that Garp is not good to be crazy. Provoke. Well, I'll give it to you, but I only have 2 copies left. Akainu pretended to take out a donut and a senbei from his arms, actually took it out of the system's backpack, and said, the 2 foods have the medicinal effect in them, but only after eating them. The first film of the movie worked, but the rest of the movie didn't work. Garp almost snatched it from Akainu's hands. He hugged it in his arms first, and then curiously asked, only the first film is effective. What's the matter? How do you know which other person got the first film? This problem is more complicated. Even Akainu doesn't know how to explain it. It can't be said that it is because of the system settings. I said the first piece is the first piece, believe it or not. You can return it to me if you don't believe it. Believe, of course I believe. How could Garp hand over the things he got? He took the donuts and senbei into his arms, and then warned Akainu. Sakazuki, this time, if you dare to cheat me next time, I bet it won't be as easy to talk as it is now. No, don't worry. Akainu said. He was only experimenting with Garp before. Now that he knows that the effect is real, he will naturally not go to pit Garp again. After all, these enchanted foods require him to spend a lot of fear points to extract. Although the fear points can be obtained all the time, he still has other abilities need to be strengthened, and it is impossible to draw a lottery all the time. After the settlement with Akainu, Garp left immediately, not knowing whether he went back to study or what he did. That's how Garp acts, coming and going in a hurry. Akainu stayed at naval headquarters this time and did not go out. Even if Sengoku asked him to join the World Summit, he refused. He really didn't want to face the face of 5 elders, and the so-called World Summit. Most of them are just showing the majesty of the Celestial Dragon's clan. He only escorted him when he went there, which didn't mean anything. However, he has not forgotten the instructions of Princess Otahime of the Fishmen Island to let Sengoku speak for the Murlocs at the World Summit. As for how effective it will be, he doesn't know. Anyway, he just promised to help. Make an affirmative reply. It will take some time from the beginning of preparations to the end of World Summit. Because Sengoku left the headquarters, Akainu will undoubtedly become the top officer of naval headquarters. Zephyr does not ask questions, so the big and small things naturally fall on Akainu. Don't think Akainu is usually lazy and doesn't ask questions, and leave the matter to the ghost spider, but in fact he is not bad in this aspect. During the time Sengoku left the headquarters, he cooperated with the lieutenants left by Sengoku. The naval headquarters is well organized, without any mistakes, so many marine executives who previously had opinions about him are all admired. After experiencing Marie Joy's, Akainu's mentality has more or less changed. He originally thought that becoming Marine Admiral means standing at the top of the world. Even in the world government, he is considered a high-level person and will not be angry anymore. But after facing 5 elders and celestial dragons, he realized that this is just his self-righteous idea. Marine Admiral does make many people jealous, but in the eyes of 5 elders and celestial dragons, it is still only a usable object. A powerful fighter, although celestial dragons can't directly get rid of his Marine Admiral identity, there are still many ways to deal with it. Not to mention the 5 elders who directly govern them. If 5 elders is willing, his Marine Admiral's position is really suspended. Even 5 elders have such powers. Then the big man behind them, how? Not more terrifying. All of these have made Akainu understand that personal combat power is indeed very important, but unless you really reach the point where one person can top the whole world, the forces under his command are also indispensable. Just like Sengoku, he is now Marine Marshal. Although 5 elders was not very good to him before, he was still relatively polite. Let's say Kong, the military commander, regardless of whether he is not celestial dragons, but 5 elders treats him. The attitude is obviously different. It cannot be said to be on the same level, but at least it respects a lot. This is the benefit of status and power. So Akainu is ready to get rid of his previous problems and deal with affairs seriously. Since Marine Admiral is not enough, he will become Marine Marshal, and he will be promoted step by step. When he is in full control of Marine, he will no longer be as embarrassed as before. Teacher, I have been able to defeat most of your soldiers, can you let me out? Akainu was working on documents in the office. Suddenly the door of the office was pulled back. His instinctive brow furrowed. But after hearing this voice, a smile appeared on his face. He put down the documents in his hand and looked at Lana, who was running over. Lana is now a 17-year-old girl, full of vigor, and I don't know if it's because of the good food. Her height has actually reached 1.8 meters, which is taller than most male soldiers and very tall. The soft long hair of a shawl, seen from the back, is definitely a big beauty over 90 points. Every time I see the scar on Lana's face, Akainu feels particularly distressed, but he never mentions it. On the contrary, Lana doesn't care about her appearance at all. "Oh, you have been able to defeat my guard, really?" Akainu asked with a smile. Lana suddenly became anxious. She pointed to Lucas, who came with her, and said, "Teacher, if you don't believe me, you can ask him. Uncle Lucas can testify." Lucas smiled bitterly behind him. He was several years younger than Akainu, and he was still unmarried, so he was called uncle by Lana, which made him helpless. However, he met Akainu's gaze and answered honestly, "Sakazuki Admiral, what Miss Lana said is indeed true. Even when the ability is not applicable, most of the soldiers are no longer Lisa. Miss Na's opponent is now." For Lucas's words, Akainu still trusts him very much. He nodded. Lana's progress is indeed faster than he imagined. She has reached this level without using the ability. If she uses the Logia Snowfruit ability again. In the case of the sea, it is considered to be above the middle level. At least in the first half of the Grand Line, as long as it doesn't provoke a particularly powerful character, it can also go sideways. Even some pirates with a bounty of 200 or 300 million are not necessarily Lana's opponent. Lana, your progress is indeed very fast, but you have to remember that there are people outside the world, and there are days outside the world. You can't be arrogant just because you have some strength, understand? Lana said seriously. "Teacher, I know that Granny he always teaches me the same way. If you say that, do you agree to let me leave the headquarters to practice?" Looking at Lana's eagerness, Akainu knew that she must be impatient at naval headquarters. He used to be more worried, but now her strength is pretty good. If she keeps her in lock and raises, she will not be exposed to the outside. The world is not very good to her, so he has a decision in his heart. "I can agree, but you can't act alone. I will arrange for Lucas to follow you." For Akainu, Lana is his closest person in the world, even if he knows that Lana is already very strong, not even worse than Lucas, but he still doesn't worry about letting Lana alone. People go to experience, take Lucas with him, he will be a little relieved. After all, Lucas has been with him for so long, and the experience is far more abundant than Lana. And there is one thing that Akainu is more worried about. Although he has great deterrence in the world, especially in the pirate world, there are also many people who want to get rid of him, and there are countless enemies. If they know the relationship between Shayna and him will inevitably involve Lana, so he must ensure Lana's safety. Hearing Akainu's words, Lana pouted a little unhappily. It was in front of Akainu that she would reveal the appearance of this little girl. Usually, she is definitely an indifferent girl. "If you don't agree, then forget it, we will discuss it again," Akainu said lightly. Agreed. Lana hurriedly called out. "Teacher, I agree, there is no need to discuss it anymore, just do what you say." She is very clear about the personality of her teacher. If she reconsiders, the conditions will be more demanding. She can't wait that long. She can't wait to go out to sea and eradicate the pirates. She doesn't want to wait for a minute. Akainu said, "Since you agree, it is the best. I will let Lucas arrange your experience for you. Although I will not ask specific details, you have to make sure that if you are in danger, you will be the first time. Protect yourself, understand?" Lana said, "I know, teacher, I will remember your words, and I will never violate them." Akainu said helplessly, "Okay, no need to flatter. I know you can't wait, you go and clean up first, I will explain a few words to Lucas." Lisa Naxing ran out in a hurry. She had been in naval headquarters for more than 7 years. She had been bored for a long time. Now that she could finally go out to practice, she was naturally very excited. "Lucas, do you know what I want to tell you?" Akainu looked at Lucas and said. Lucas replied solemnly, "Sakazuki Admiral, don't worry, I must protect Miss Lana and use my life as a guarantee." Akainu said, "You have this heart. What I want you to do is, if you really encounter a danger that you can't resist, you have to take Lana away. Don't worry about everything else, just protect her. Safe, understand?" Lucas said, "Yes, Sakazuki Admiral, go ahead." Akainu waved at him. After Lucas left, he showed emotion. In a blink of an eye, he has been in this world for 8 years. 8 years have changed a lot for him, and he has not lived up to the name of Akainu. At the same time, he would also like to thank the system that appeared with him. If this system hadn't existed, he might not have achieved that much. Thinking of the system, he couldn't help but enter the system interface again. It has been a while since the last purchase and lottery. His fear value has reached more than 50,000 points. Among them, Robin, who used the double fear card, as he provided a lot, and Garp also provided him a lot. It is estimated that he was frightened by that golden gun. There are also some fear points provided by the celestial dragons and his guards who were frightened by Marie Joy's. In addition, the last time the Saboti archipelago caused a sensation, it also caused a lot of fear in many spectators. Value. The total fear value of these people is more than 50,000 points, but he has not started to use it. The fear value of more than 50,000 points seems to be a lot, but it will soon disappear after using it. At most, it is an observation that improves by 50 meters. Hockey's range is far from his requirements. Now Akainu mainly strengthens observation hockey. Armament hockey has been used enough so far. Conqueror's hockey is also very strong, so now observation hockey must be upgraded. As for the lucky draw, although many of the lucky draw items are very precious, they cannot directly improve their combat effectiveness and can only be used as a second choice. With Akainu's consent, Lana said goodbye to him the next day and left naval headquarters in a warship with Lucas. When she left, Lana almost shed tears and was very sad, although it was not. She was separated from Akainu for the first time, but it was always Akainu who left before, and this time it was she who took the initiative to leave. Akainu worked in the headquarters in this way, and he was not liberated until Sengoku returned from Marie Joy's. During the World Summit, the 7 warlords of the sea system has been passed. 5 elders gave us a certain amount of preparation time. Soon they will announce the 7 warlords of the sea system. After Sengoku came back, he met with Akainu as soon as possible and talked about important events at the World Summit. Among them, Sengoku cares most about 7 warlords of the sea, which is now a foregone conclusion. Akainu said, 5 elders just want to use this Shichibukai to check and balance the pirates. The effect may be good in the short term, dividing the pirate forces, but over time, it will inevitably become a big trouble. Sengoku said with a heavy face, I also understand that 5 elders did that on purpose. They are not worried about Shichibukai becoming bigger. Now their entire attention is on the Revolutionary Army. You probably don't know yet, the revolution. The army's movement this time is very big. Although Akainu did not receive specific information, he also had speculation and asked, is it the kingdom of Alria and the kingdom of Costiga? Sengoku said, yes, it is these 2 countries. In just half a month, these 2 kingdoms can be said to have undergone earth-shaking changes. The rebels have mastered most of the territory, and the royal families of the 2 countries continue to ask for help. To get help from the world government, 5 elders is worrying about this matter. As he suddenly said in a low voice, it is said that the reason why the Revolutionary Army is so strong this time is because they received the heavenly gold that the 2 kingdoms enshrined to the celestial dragons. Last time you were in charge of this matter, not that was the heavenly gold robbed by the pirates. Why did it fall into the hands of the Revolutionary Army? Of course, Akainu would not admit that he knew it. He frowned and said, the heavenly gold was obtained by the Revolutionary Army. What's going on? Last time it was indeed an unknown pirate group who snatched the heavenly gold. Could it be that they were given it by the Revolutionary Army? Robbed? Sengoku saw that Akainu's reaction was normal, and he held his suspicion in his heart and said, no matter what's going on, 5 elders is now focusing on the Revolutionary Army. The 7 warlords of the sea requires ourselves. Do it. Shichibukai is positioned as 7 powerful pirates. There are many powerful pirates, but it is not so easy to subdue them. This is where Sengoku is embarrassed. As Marine, he really doesn't want to deal with the pirates, but now that 5 elders is suppressed, he has to do it even if he doesn't want to. Sakazuki, what can you do? Akainu said, there is no other way, I can only choose to find some powerful, but not particularly bad pirates. If 7 warlords of the sea has to be executed, this is also the way to go. Sengoku was silent. Of course he knew this. He said, I'll let people pay attention. You often deal with pirates. If you go to sea again, pay attention to this. Akainu raised her brows and said, I'm afraid there are really not many pirates who can survive in my hands. Indeed, if he meets a pirate, he doesn't care about Shichibukai or Shichibukai. Those who can be killed will never be spared, and those who cannot be killed will be tortured and thrown into prison. After staying in Marineford for a while, Akainu set off from naval headquarters again, continued to patrol the sea and hunt for pirates. But before he left, he received the news that a major event was about to happen at naval headquarters. Sengoku has submitted a proposal to 5 elders, suggesting that Marine Admiral candidate Paluzolino be promoted to the new Marine Admiral. It is said that 5 elders seems to it has been preliminarily agreed and is preparing to choose a good time to be promoted to Paluzolino. Regarding this incident, Akainu was not surprised. Sengoku always wanted to promote Paluzolino to Marine Admiral to share his power, but Paluzolino's luck was really not so good. The failure to make great achievements made the Marine executives and 5 elders and others disagree very much, and it has continued to the present. Perusalino has been in the position of Marine Admiral for 10 years, and his qualifications have reached a certain stage. Although he has not made great achievements at this time, he has enough qualifications. In today's era of pirates, Marine does need Marine Admiral to suppress, so this time Perusalino is likely to be promoted. Akainu did not participate in this matter, and he has no reason to participate. Sakazuki Admiral, there is news from the G65 branch that a pirate group has just ransacked a town and is coming in the direction where we are. Because Akainu has been patrolling the sea all these years, he basically walked all over the branches of Grand Line. As long as there is a powerful pirate group, the chiefs of those branches and bases will pass on information to him. Make everyone below prepare for battle. Although the pirates in the first half of the Grand Line are not as powerful as the New World pirates, they are not all rubbish. What's more, he is bringing his own private army. He is ready to train his private army. Unless he encounters a major enemy, it is not easy to make a move. I can't do it myself. The fear value is naturally not coming, so Akainu changed his method again, and once again used the previous methods to sentence the captured pirates, but this time his methods were not as harsh as before, and he did not die. Inside, a bit more civilized. But even if he is a little more civilized, his fear value is also rising, much faster than he is about to kill. Knowing that a group of pirates was coming towards where he was, Akainu simply stopped the warship and waited for the pirates to bring him to the door. After about a few dozen minutes, Akainu found that there was a pirate ship approaching their direction, but after watching for a while, he clearly found something wrong, because the pirate ship did not turn around after seeing their warship. The bow fled, but continued to come towards them instead. Sakazuki, it seems something is wrong, Jonathan said to Akainu. Akainu waved his hand and said, it's okay, wait for them to come and attack. Originally, he was going to directly catch up and attack while waiting for the pirate to escape, but the other party did not flee, but drove towards them quickly, so he was not prepared to attack immediately. There must be a problem. After a while, after the pirate ship approached, Akainu and the others saw a scene that made them stunned. They saw the pirates on the pirate ship standing up white flags, gathered together, and constantly shaking in their direction. Surrender. This scene really shocked Akainu and others. What happened? The gang of pirates run so far. Are they here to surrender? It is unreasonable to think about it, but this kind of doubt did not last too long, and they will know why in the next moment. When the Marines were very puzzled, suddenly a sword light that soared into the sky directly slashed on the pirate ship. The large pirate ship was hit by the knife and collapsed for most of it, setting off an astonishing huge wave. Help! Help us! Marine, we surrender, come and catch us, come and catch us. I'm not a pirate anymore, I'm not a pirate anymore, save us. Because the pirate ship was getting closer, Akainu probably could hear these people's urgent cry for help. This Sakazuki, is a very powerful swordsman. Although I haven't seen the person attacking the pirate ship yet, looking at the sword light just now, you can know that the person who made the attack is definitely a very powerful swordsman. The swordsman who can smash the large pirate ship in the sea is not many. Akainu glanced at this scene and said, I think I guessed who it was. While they were talking, they saw a small boat like a western coffin slowly approaching, unaffected by the waves. But everyone's eyes were not on the boat, but on the man sitting on the boat. I saw this man sitting in the boat, wearing a black top hat with white fluff on his head, a burgundy patterned shirt on his upper body, a black trench coat, and white long trousers on his lower body. The most eye-catching thing is the huge black knife behind him. As for the appearance of this man, because he kept his head down and was blocked by the black top hat, no one could see clearly. Who is this guy? I feel so powerful. The soldiers on the warship were treated as if they were watching a show, staring at that person closely. Even if they were far away, they could feel the unique aura of this person, like a sharp sword out of a sheath. Sakazuki, do you know this swordsman? Jonathan asked Akainu that among Akainu's generals, apart from ghost spiders, Jonathan had the best relationship with him, so he didn't have too much scruples when asked. Akainu said solemnly, Hawkeye, Dracul Mihawk. Hawkeye, is it the swordsman who drew with the red-haired shanks of New World 4 emperors? Hi, I also know this guy. It is said that he is now called the world's #1 swordsman by many people. The world's largest swordsman, is it true? Didn't you just see that such a big pirate ship was almost broken apart? With such a powerful slash, how many swordsmen in the world can use? When Akainu said the name of Hawkeye, the surrounding marine soldiers were all shocked, because Hawkeye's name is really not small. He was already a small and famous before he dueled with the red-haired shanks. Swordsman, it's just that he is neither marine nor pirate. He is a neutral figure, so he doesn't receive much attention. But after the battle with the red-haired shanks, his name skyrocketed. At that time, the red-haired had just become the New World 4 emperors, which was the focus of the world's attention. At that time, he was tied with the red-haired Shanks, although it's just a swordsmanship duel, but other people don't know. Many people think that his strength is as strong as a redhead, and it's hard not to be known. It has been a while since the peak duel. The name of Hawkeye has spread throughout the world. Because there are so many swordsmen in this world, they can become the world's largest swordsman. In terms of title, in fact, not much worse than the Pirate Four Emperors, at least in the eyes of swordsmen who learn swords. Hawkeye is even more powerful than the Pirate Four Emperors. In fact, this is not surprising. Take Zoro as an example. His location is East Blue. He doesn't know who the Pirate Four Emperors is, but he knows that Hawkeye is the world's #1 swordsman and uses Hawkeye. For the goal, one can imagine how loud the name of Hawkeye was at that time. He is Hawkeye, the world's #1 swordsman. Jonathan looked at the black broadsword in surprise. Akainu stared solemnly and slowly said, yes, he is Hawkeye, the world's largest swordsman. It may be too early to say that Hawkeye is the world's largest swordsman, but he knows that Hawkeye has this ability. At least before no one can defeat him, he can still afford the world's largest swordsman name. Although Jonathan was also surprised by Hawkeye's identity, he was even more curious about why Hawkeye was chasing the pirates and fighting. Isn't Hawkeye a lone ranger? How could he chase these pirates? He was indeed very curious. Hawkeye was able to beat the pirates like this, and would rather be caught by their marine, and didn't want to fall into Hawkeye's hands. Akainu said, who knows? Maybe these guys interrupted his sleep. Jonathan said in disbelief, how is it possible? Akainu shook his head and did not answer. Normally speaking, it is indeed impossible, but Hawkeye is not a normal person. He does things entirely according to his own preferences, just like when he is on top of a war, he fights and fights if he doesn't want to. If you don't fight, even naval headquarters can't help him. Such a person cannot be viewed according to common sense. However, since I met him, it will always take a while. Because of Hawkeye's slash just now, many pirates were beaten into the sea. Akainu ordered the Marines to catch the pirates, while he himself stared at Hawkeye. Hawkeye naturally found Marine's warship, but he didn't have the slightest scruples, and once again held the black knife in his hand, ready to attack the pirates again, but at this moment. Hawkeye, give us Marine to deal with these pirates, how about? The black knife in Hawkeye's hand paused, and he quickly raised his head, gazing directly at the warship, which happened to meet Akainu's gaze. He tilted his head, thought for a moment, and then asked, Marine Admiral, Akainu? Hawkeye's reputation as the world's #1 swordsman may be very loud, but on the grand line, Akainu's name is definitely better than him. After all, his biggest record so far is a tie with the red-haired Shanks. And Akainu's record is much better than him. He has played against Whitebeard and was not defeated by Whitebeard. Moreover, the red-haired Shanks did not become the Four Emperors before, but he failed miserably under Akainu's. Akainu said, it's me. Hawkeye's gaze suddenly became sharp, staring at Akainu, and said, Red Hair told me about you. He said you were very strong. It is the most powerful opponent he has ever met. They almost fell on you. Hands. Akainu narrowed his eyes and asked, are you good friends with him? Hawkeye thought for a while and said, it's a friend. Akainu said, then if you see him in the future, tell him that I won't let him go. Hawkeye said, you should tell him this by yourself. The strong speak with power. Hawkeye's arrogant attitude makes Akainu slightly uncomfortable, but genius always has some personality, so he doesn't care too much. I want these pirates. Hawkeye said coldly, what if I disagree? Akainu's face also became cold, but before he could speak, Hawkeye continued, they interrupted my meal, so I will chase them until now. I gave them a chance, as long as one of them can pick him up. If I had a knife, I let them go, and they agreed, but they also broke their promise. Akainu understood. It turned out that these pirates were very unlucky. When they met Hawkeye, they were eating, which disturbed his temper, so Hawkeye asked them to take a knife, but unfortunately no one can catch it, but they don't want to die. So I can only choose to run away. After chasing and fleeing, I came to them. It's not a pity for them to die, but they just looted a town, and I must let them hand over the treasure. Hawkeye said, I don't care, if they break their promise, they all deserve to die. I don't know that Hawkeye's personality is like this, or he did it deliberately. Although Akainu is not angry, he is also quite unhappy. Then what if I don't agree? The same question went back. Hawkeye slammed the black knife quickly, pointed it at Akainu, and said, then speak with strength. In this case, Akainu laughed. He said, yes, since we can't agree, we can only speak with strength. This is the rule of the sea and the rule of the strong. How do you want to fight? The world's #1 swordsman is very famous, and he is also interested, wanting to see how strong this swordsman is. Hawkeye said, you are capable. To be fair, I can fight with you on the shore. Akainu nodded and said, it's fair, but I don't need it. Right now, right here, Let me see how strong the world's #1 slash is. Hawkeye's brows frowned slightly. He wanted to teach Akainu with all his strength, but Akainu was a capable person. Obviously, it was impossible to explode with all his strength on the ocean. The opponent was so large that he would look down upon him. Hawkeye is not the Hawkeye more than 10 years later. Now he is only a young man in his 20s. The arrogance in his heart is the strongest time, even for someone like Akainu who can fight the strongest man in the world. I will not be afraid, but feel that the other party looks down on him. But he is not a person who is good at speech. Akainu decides to do so, and he will not refuse. After all, the fight between him and Akainu is not a duel between swordsmen. There is no need to be so formal. In that case, let's start. Without saying a word, Akainu jumped straight and jumped onto the half-destructive pirate boat. The pirates saw Akainu as if they saw a savior. Catch me, catch me. However, Akainu didn't have the time to control these guys and snorted coldly, and a powerful aura broke out from him, and the pirates who approached were all retreating in embarrassment. He knows the strength of Hawkeye very well, so naturally he will not do anything with Hawkeye on a warship. Now this pirate ship is a very good place to fight. As for fighting at sea or even in seawater, he never thought about it. Because even for him, the enchanted food for underwater swimming is a treasure and will not be easily used. Compared to Akainu, Hawkeye is obviously more dignified, because he has heard red-haired Shanks say that Akainu is definitely the most terrifying opponent he has ever encountered. Since he went to sea, his only defeat has been in the hands of Akainu. How strong Shanks is, Hawkeye knows very well that he can be tied with swordsmanship alone. If they use their full strength, they will definitely be stronger. If the two fight life and death, the person who loses out of all likelihood will lose. It's him. Therefore, Shanks is a very difficult opponent, and he will not care about it. He was no longer as easy as he was before, holding the black sword in both hands, and the man stood up. Before he started to do his hands, the sharpness that belonged to the swordsman locked Akainu. What a strong sword. Akainu has also encountered some powerful swordsmen before. The strongest is Rayleigh, but he did not fight against Rayleigh, and Rayleigh has not shown a strong aura, but presumably Rayleigh's aura is compared to the eagle eye in front of him. I am afraid it's similar. The astonishing haki erupted from Akainu. The pirates around him fainted one after another, and even the pirate ship puppet appeared piece by piece. The rest of the pirates who frightened in this scene were frightened. Akainu and Hawkeye are only a few tens of meters apart, so Conqueror's haki rushed directly in front of Hawkeye. Fear score from Liliden Willis, plus 127. Fear score from David Holland, 215. Goo. With a dull voice, I saw that the otherwise calm sea, centered on the eagle eye, suddenly boiled, and his coffin-like boat shook violently. This haki. Hawkeye's pupils tightened, and only haki shook the sea, which even Shanks didn't do. The red hair is right, this Akainu is really scary. The heart was shocked, but Hawkeye was stronger in fighting spirit. The swordsman was a brave. If he was afraid before starting a war, then he was not worthy of being a swordsman, let alone being a swordsman, the world's #1 swordsman. Raising the strongest black knife in his hand, Hawkeye took the lead. It was just a very common slash, but it formed a surprisingly huge blade. Starting from the boat, it became bigger and bigger, and there was a boiling sea. Was divided into two halves in an instant, and the blade light that was enough to split the sea surface slashed towards the pirate ship with all its strength. It's over. We are dead. Why are we fighting on our ship? Can't we surrender it? Before Hawkeye's slash came, the pirates on the pirate ship who were not stunned by Hawkeye were already desperate. Although they all knew that Marine Admiral Akainu was standing on their ship, they didn't know how powerful Akainu was. But they know how powerful Hawkeye is. If it weren't for Hawkeye to tease them, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to insist here. Now that the more terrifying slash hits than before, they all feel dead. Akainu looked very calm when he saw the attacking swordlight. He hadn't seen Hawkeye before, but he knew how strong Hawkeye's slashes were. Just like in the Battle of the Top, Hawkeye dared to be the first to jump out. Attacking Whitebeard is not only courage, but also confidence in his own strength. Just a quick slash was able to almost split the pirate ship, and now this charged knife, if it is smashed on the pirate ship, it will definitely be able to split the pirate ship in half, so he can't let this knife fall on the pirate ship. Not because of the pirates, but he needs this pirate ship as his foothold. Great eruption. Akainu is on the ship now, so naturally he cannot use a wide range of attacks, otherwise his magma can burn the pirate ship without waiting for Hawkeye. The huge lava fist slammed into the sword light, and the two forces collided, and there was no huge sensation, but they quickly offset each other's forces, and the magma continuously produced volcanic bombs and fell around of the nautical miles. Boom. There was a huge roar, but it was not the collision of magma and the sword light, but the collision of Akainu and Hawkeye. I saw Akainu, who was originally on the pirate ship, jumped into the air and went directly to the boat where the Eagle Eye was. The two collided at close range on the boat. The magma fist collided with the black knife, and there was a dull roar. Hawkeye and Akainu fought fiercely on the boat. Although both of them were under control, their intrepid combat power created an extremely terrifying momentum. Around the boat, the waves rose like a tsunami, only the center. There was no damage to the boat. Fear score from Corrence Wilt, plus 287. Fear score from Livia Cod, plus 451. From plus 149. The pirates who provided fear points were basically those pirates who hadn't fainted. They had never seen such a horrible scene. For them, the fighting between these two men was beyond their imagination. It was completely beyond their imagination. Akainu and Hawkeye kept moving on the boat, and the warships and pirate boats had been forced to leave very far. Of course, all the pirates on the pirate ship were arrested by Marine at this time, and the pirates didn't mean to resist at all. It can be said that it was the smoothest capture of the pirates in their history. After Akainu fought with Hawkeye for a while, he found that Hawkeye did not use any very subtle big moves. They were basically the simplest and most common slashes, but every slash was amazingly powerful. He was hit several times. If he weren't for the ability of Logia, armament Hawkeye alone would have suffered serious injuries. Hawkeye has actually practiced kendo to this level. Every move and every style is a simple attack, but they are all extremely powerful. In terms of realm, Hawkeye has surpassed the realm of cutting iron and reached a higher level. Akainu was surprised by Hawkeye's swordsmanship, and Hawkeye also shocked Akainu's strength. The real powerhouse sometimes doesn't need to fight to the end, and often knows the opponent's strength at the beginning, and then looks at both sides. Who is more powerful in the use of power? It deserves to be a man who can defeat the red hair and fight Whitebeard. The strength of this Akainu is definitely the strongest opponent I have ever encountered. Hawkeye is also a very proud person, especially he is still a swordsman. He won't be surprised what kind of opponent he meets, but after fighting Akainu, he realizes that what the red hair said was not false at all. Akainu is really unfathomable. With his current strength, I am afraid it is hard to be Akainu's opponent. Akainu and Hawkeye fought for more than 10 minutes, and the surrounding waters became boiling because of their fighting. Even at sea, the battle between the two was no worse than on land. Joha Great Eruption. Suddenly, Akainu forcibly took Hawkeye's knife, and then grabbed Hawkeye's arms with both hands. Both hands turned into lava, pressed down from the air, and directly hit the pirate ship under the two. Boom. The soaring lava erupted like a volcanic eruption, rushing out of a height of several tens of meters, and the dilapidated pirate ship instantly collapsed, igniting an astonishing flame. The huge pirate ship burned quickly, and everyone could only see Akainu in the fire. As for where the Eagle Eye went, they could no longer see it. Standing on the burning pirate ship, Akainu walked out slowly, using moonwalk to quickly jump onto the warship. Sakazuki Admiral. Seeing Akainu return safely, all Marines cheered, because in their opinion, it was their admiral who won. Jonathan asked curiously, "Sakazuki, where is Hawkeye? You killed him." Just now, Akainu's last move was extremely terrifying, so many people felt that Hawkeye was killed. Although Hawkeye is known as the world's largest swordsman, Akainu is the strongest person in the eyes of all Marine soldiers. Akainu shook his head and said, "No, if he was killed by me so easily, he wouldn't be an Eagle Eye." Joha Great Eruption's move is indeed very powerful, but because at sea, even if he used the pirate ship, its power was weakened, and it was far less powerful than on land. If it is on land, this move may have some chances to kill Hawkeye, but in terms of the attack effect just now, it is impossible to kill Hawkeye, and Hawkeye is in his volcanic eruption. At the moment, he cut off his hands that turned into magma, and then sank under the sea, so even a large piece of magma could not hurt him. While speaking, a figure suddenly rushed out of the sea and landed accurately on the boat. It was Hawkeye. It's just that the eagle eyes are no longer as relaxed and leisurely as before, the black top hat is gone, the windbreaker has disappeared, even the patterned shirt inside is tattered, except for the sharp eyes, the state is not very good. Seeing that Hawkeye was intact, all the Marine soldiers who were still cheering before turned off. Akainu didn't mean to do any more, but suddenly said to Hawkeye, "Hawkeye, let's get on the boat." Faced with Akainu's invitation, Hawkeye did not refuse, and drove the boat closer to the warship, and then boarded the warship alone. "You are very strong, I am not your opponent now." Akainu was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the first sentence after Hawkeye would be on the boat would actually be this. This made his sense of Hawkeye change a bit, and at the same time the idea in his heart became firmer. Now is now, maybe in the future, Hawkeye, I am more than 10 years older than you. You may not have the chance to surpass me in the future. Akainu is also telling the truth. Today's Hawkeye is even a few years younger than 30, and he is almost 40 years old, more than 10 years older than Hawkeye, and he has a system, and is now stronger than Hawkeye. It's not something to be proud of. Who knows that Hawkeye nodded seriously and said, when I become stronger in the future, I will challenge you again. Although Akainu is not a swordsman, the fight just now made him know that he is not Akainu's opponent. A strong opponent is hard to find, let alone an existence like Akainu, that's why he said this. Akainu was speechless when he heard what Hawkeye said. This guy is really confident enough, but he thinks Hawkeye has no chance. Although he is much older than Hawkeye, he still has the ginseng fruit in the system. If you really want to compare it, maybe who has a longer lifespan. As for the growth of strength, he feels that he is more confident than Hawkeye. Now Hawkeye is no longer his opponent, and there will be no chance to defeat him in the future. One thing, don't you know if you are interested? Akainu asked Hawkeye. Hawkeye said. What's the matter? Akainu said. The world government is preparing to establish a new authority, 7 warlords of the sea, to select 7 powerful beings from the world, whether they are pirates or others, as long as they are strong enough, they can join Shichibukai and become Shichibukai. 1. 7 warlords of the sea? Hawkeye was obviously surprised. Akainu said, yes, it is 7 warlords of the sea. After becoming Shichibukai, you will have great power. No matter who you are, even if you are a wanted pirate, after becoming Shichibukai, the original wanted order will be cancelled. World government and marine will no longer pursue all the crimes he committed before, and Shichibukai's members still have the power to privately plunder, but they need to pay tribute to the world government. In addition to being compulsory convened by the world government and paying certain income to the world government, Shichibukai can act freely in peacetime without interference from the world government, and can even make individual requests to the world government. Although these powers seem to be very nonsense to Akainu, they are facts, and he has not concealed them, all they have been told to Hawkeye. Hawkeye heard this 7 warlords of the sea for the first time, but after hearing what Akainu said, it was also very surprised. Is this really the decision of the world government? He was really more skeptical, because the power of 7 warlords of the sea was so superior, it was like it was specially set up for pirates. Akainu said, of course, this is the decision of the world government, and you are the first person to be invited. Sengoku is still thinking about Shichibukai's candidates and has not yet started the selection process, so he said this to Hawkeye, who was the first person to receive an invitation. Hawkeye thought about it seriously, and then asked, are you going to deal with the new world pirate 4 emperors? Akainu didn't expect Hawkeye to be so keen, and he immediately discovered the purpose of choosing 7 warlords of the sea. Yes, it is for the new world pirate 4 emperors. Hawkeye shook his head and said, if this is the case, I won't join. I have no grievances against the 4 emperors of the new world pirate, and I don't want to fight them. Akainu said, you misunderstood, we chose Shichibukai, just to curb the development of new world 4 emperors, so that they don't become too bloated and threaten the stability of the world. There is no need for Shichibukai to work with the pirate 4 emperors. Of course, if the thief 4 emperors want to do anything against marine or the world government, Shichibukai must stand on our side. Even if he said so, Hawkeye still did not agree. The reason why Hawkeye was invited to join Shichibukai is not because the Hawkeye in the anime is one of Shichibukai, but Hawkeye is different from the pirate. Although he is not a good person, he will never kill like a pirate. Civilians commit crimes everywhere, murder and rob. Rather than let the big pirate who behaved badly become Shichibukai, it is better to let the great swordsman of Ishin Kendo like Hawkeye become Shichibukai, and the identity and strength of Hawkeye also have the qualifications to become Shichibukai. Seeing that Hawkeye didn't agree, Akainu said again, Hawkeye, you are also alone anyway. With Shichibukai's identity, it will be more convenient for you. You can enjoy so many rights, but only when you need you. You will be called when you are in, and this situation may not happen once in 10 years. Hawkeye thought about the rights and interests mentioned by Akainu just now. Some of them really fascinated him. Shichibukai's rights and interests are not small. He doesn't like the others. One thing is that after he becomes Shichibukai, it will be much more convenient to act. At least it will not be hostile by the world government and marine. After weighing the pros and cons, Hawkeye made a decision. He said, I can promise you to become one of Shichibukai. I don't know how this process is going to be done. Akainu breathed a sigh of relief, and Hawkeye agreed. The 7 warlords of the sea system has not yet been officially announced, but I can promise you now. It does not require any process. We will announce to the world when the time is right. At that time, you just don't need to deny it. If you want any rights, you can go directly to naval headquarters to find me. Shichibukai is just a system launched by the world government to counterbalance the 4 emperors of the new world pirates. Sengoku has never thought about how grandiose it is. Just find a suitable candidate and announce it in the world media. Others, I never thought about it. Okay, can I go now? Hawkeye asked. Akainu was really speechless by Hawkeye's Just after the front foot was finished speaking, the back foot was about to go. It was really cold. At the same time, it can be seen that Hawkeye has no good impressions of their Marines, let alone respect. Ends. Hawkeye doesn't like them, and Akainu also doesn't care about Hawkeye. Although the title of the world's largest swordsman is loud, it can't be used for his own use, and there is no need to make the relationship much better. Sure. Hawkeye took 2 steps, and then said, "Those pirates will give it to you, but next time, I don't want you to snatch my prey." After speaking, he jumped onto his boat and left quickly. After Hawkeye left, several Rear Admiral on the warship gathered. Dolo Rear Admiral said uncomfortably, "This Hawkeye, the defeated general, is so arrogant." Akainu didn't care much, and said, "This is his character, but his strength is indeed very strong, especially in kendo cultivation. I just had the upper hand, and I didn't really defeat him, and he was a great swordsman. If it is really a life-and-death battle, it is definitely the most difficult type to deal with. Hawkeye may not be his opponent now, but he will not underestimate Hawkeye. This swordsman who has not shown the strongest strength in the anime all the time, no one knows where his limit is." Sakazuki, the 7 warlords of the sea, you said to Hawkeye just now, is that true? Just now Akainu talked to Hawkeye, but didn't avoid other people. Jonathan and others heard it, so they were all shocked. Akainu said, "It's true, but it hasn't been officially announced yet. Marshal Sengoku has his plans. Let the pirates become Shichibukai and have permission to plunder. Is the world government crazy?" After being confirmed, several marine generals were shocked, and then they were very angry. As Akainu's subordinates, they were affected by Akainu and naturally hated the pirates. As a result, the world government actually wanted to recruit the pirates and establish Shichibukai. And there is so much power, which in their opinion is simply ridiculous. Akainu sneered. The world government is not crazy, but it is Shichibukai. It has no effect on them. Instead, it can be used to counterbalance the 4 emperors of the New World pirates. They are just using each other. As for making the pirates legal, and with permission to plunder, they don't even care. Anyway, it's only the civilians who are threatened. Instead, they can get benefits. Why not do it? After hearing Akainu's ridicule, several people who were already angry became even more angry. They also involuntarily developed a deep dislike of the world government. They worked so hard to catch the pirates, but the people above them got stuck behind their backs. How can I be happy in my heart? The warship was traveling on the sea for about 2 months, and Akainu suddenly received a call from Naval Headquarters. Something happened to the marine branch of the Fishmen Island? Hearing the information from Sengoku, Akainu's face suddenly became gloomy. Sakazuki Admiral, what happened? Seeing that Akainu's face became so ugly after receiving the call, Jonathan and others found it strange. Akainu said solemnly, the GX-1 branch base of the Fishmen Island was attacked by pirates. The loss was heavy and the ghost spider was seriously injured. What? Jonathan, Dolo and others were very shocked. Jonathan couldn't help asking. The ghost spider vice admiral is in the GX-1 branch, and Rakulova rear admiral, Bastille rear admiral and others assist. Who can take the ghost in this situation? The spider vice admiral was seriously injured. Could it be the 4 emperors of New World? Dolo rear admiral couldn't help asking. Akainu said, no. The person who attacked the base was the former legendary pirate, Golden Lion. Golden Lion. Jonathan and others all showed incredible expressions. In fact, it was more than them. Even Akainu was shocked. Although Golden Lion had escaped from Impel Down, shouldn't this guy hide? How did he appear in the Fishmen Island, and also clashed with his marine branch? What surprised him even more was the strength of Golden Lion. You must know that in order to escape from Impel Down prison, Golden Lion cut off his legs. Without them, his strength must be greatly weakened. But now only a few years have passed, Golden Lion unexpectedly came out to stir up the wind and the rain, and also defeated the ghost spider in its heyday. Is he preparing to rise again? For this, Akainu really doesn't understand, because according to his understanding of the plot of One Piece, Golden Lion did not appear again after escaping from Impel Down. It didn't appear until the theater version, but it became a stepping stone for the protagonist Luffy. The resounding pirate turned into that in the end, which is indeed very embarrassing. But now, Golden Lion has appeared again after a few years, and it has made such a big movement. If Golden Lion is attacking other places, maybe Akainu doesn't care too much, but the marine branch of the Fishmen Island is different. It was the marine branch that he spent a lot of energy to establish. It was arresting during this time. Many pirates who want to go to New World have made a lot of credit. As time goes by, sooner or later they will become a powerful force under him. Now this base was actually attacked by Golden Lion. Even the main commander Ghost Spider was injured. He naturally wouldn't sit idly by. Go to the Fishmen Island now. Worried about the condition of the GX-1 branch base, Akainu rushed to the Fishmen Island as quickly as possible. Knowing that Akainu and the others would come, the ghost spiders had already arranged for someone to greet them. After Akainu and the others came to the Fishman Island, they brought them into the base as soon as possible. When Akainu saw the ghost spider was sitting, with gauze wrapped around his body and forehead. The gauze reflected blood, and he knew the injury was serious. How is the injury? After seeing the ghost spider, Akainu didn't immediately ask him what was going on, but first concerned about the ghost spider's injury. The ghost spider smiled bitterly and said, "Fortunately, I can't die, but this time I was really taught a lot, and the base lost a lot." Akainu turned his gaze on the ghost spider, then looked at Bastille, Lopez and others, and found that they were more or less injured, but they did not seem to be as serious as the ghost spider. What is the problem? Although the ghost spider was seriously injured, it did not affect his speech. He said, "In the beginning, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know until Golden Lion came over. The thief, it turned out to be a pirate under Golden Lion. He came here this time for revenge." Akainu nodded. It turned out that Golden Lion did not take the initiative to attack, but he is still puzzled. What kind of pirate is worthy of Golden Lion risking attacking the Marine branch even if he is his own son? Yeah, so he thinks there must be something tricky in it. Next, the ghost spider and Akainu reported in detail the process of this Golden Lion attack. There was not much technical content, but they defeated their Marine GX1 branch purely with strength. How strong is the Golden Lion? Akainu asked the most critical question. The ghost spider said solemnly, "It's very strong. His legs are indeed broken, but he uses 2 knives as his legs, and he uses them very dexterously. I have used all my strength and I am still not his opponent. However, I still found that although his current strength is still very strong, it is much worse than when he attacked our headquarters that year. Presumably the broken legs still had a great impact on him. Of course it will be affected. Even if the strongest person loses his legs and replaces them with other objects, there will be great changes. If the average person loses his legs, I am afraid that he will lose even 1/10 of his combat power. But Golden Lion is obviously not an ordinary person. From the fact that he can defeat Golden Lion and leave calmly, it can be seen that his strength is definitely at the level of a big pirate." However, the ghost spider couldn't tell how strong Golden Lion was. After all, it was him who was defeated, not Golden Lion. The ghost spider said, "This time we suffered a heavy loss. 2,000 soldiers were killed in battle. Many buildings in the base were also destroyed. The most serious thing is that this Golden Lion attack will make other pirates despise us. It feels that we are weak and can be bullied, which is very unfavorable for us. The Golden Lion is no longer the Golden Lion back then. Today's new world is the era of the 4 emperors of the pirates. Even the Golden Lion can only shrink one side. The prestige of the Golden Lion has long been forgotten by the times. If the branch base is defeated by the pirates of the 4 emperors, it's nothing more. It's now defeated by the Golden Lion, which undoubtedly caused very serious consequences, which greatly reduced the prestige of the Marine GX1 base. This is what the ghost spiders worry about the most." Akainu said coldly, "Now if you want to save your face and momentum, there is only one way to kill Golden Lion." If it were 8 years ago, Akainu would certainly not have the confidence to say such things, but now, even in the Golden Lion in its heyday, he has the confidence to pull him off the horse, not to mention the Golden Lion with 2 broken legs. For Akainu, the ghost spider did not have the slightest surprise. He knows Akainu best. Such a thing happened. It would be strange if Akainu didn't say so. "I have sent someone to investigate the whereabouts of Golden Lion. If he hasn't appeared before, maybe we don't know his whereabouts yet, but since he dared to attack us and want to disappear again without a trace, it will not be so easy. Ends." Akainu said, "Send people to search for his whereabouts. I will stay here during this period of time. I want to see if any pirates dare to make trouble at this time." Now the base is seriously damaged, and the ghost spider is injured. It is when the power of the base is empty, so Akainu is ready to sit down and see which pirate will hit the muzzle. Not to mention, there are really pirates who are not afraid of death these days, but they do not have the guts of Golden Lion to attack the Marine branch base. Instead, they start to show off in the range of the Fishman Island, until Akainu personally shoots. Even only by cutting 3 pirates with a bounty of more than 100 million yuan did they completely calm down the chaotic situation during this period of time. 10 days later, intelligence finally came from naval headquarters, and it was already possible to determine the whereabouts of Golden Lion. After getting the specific position, Akainu did not delay anymore, and directly took the soldiers of a warship into action. As for the ghost spider, because his injury has not been fully recovered, Akainu was left in the base, and at the same time, Dolo Rear Admiral and others, he himself took about 1,000 soldiers, 1 Rear Admiral, and 3 Commodores. Although Akainu is very confident in himself, he also knows that people like Golden Lion are not so easy to deal with, so he is not prepared to take these people to trouble Golden Lion. After he went to New World, the first place to go is the Marine G5 branch. Haha, Sakazuki, it's been a long time. Claude saw Akainu again and was very happy. It has been several years since Akainu left New World last time. Although he has often contacted Akainu over the years, it was not a meeting, so he will only meet after seeing Akainu again today. So happy. After Claude entered the G5 branch base, Akainu looked very surprised. Claude, your place is really good, much better than the original base. The previous G5 branch base, due to the war with the Whitebeard pirates, caused the islands to sink to the bottom of the sea. Later, Akainu arranged them at the original G1 branch base, but because Sengoku restored the G1 branch again, Claude had to lead people to find a place to establish a base, and now this base is established by Claude himself. Although it was only a small circle, Akainu found that it was much taller and noble compared to the previous G5 branch base, and it was not worse than the previous G1 branch base. Not only did the island have several towns, but also the flow of people. It is very large, and the branch base is located just ahead of the center, guarding the towns on both sides. Claude laughed loudly and said, "Of course, I have to know that the establishment of this base cost me countless energy. It was built according to my ideas, little by little. No one is more familiar with this base than I." Akainu was really surprised, because this base was the best base in the marine base he had seen, except for the headquarters base and G1 base. Both the design and the location were excellent. He didn't expect Kellogg, a reckless man like to actually has this talent. If it were him, he might not even be as good as half of Claude. However, as far as the condition of your base is concerned, a large sum of money is definitely needed. Where did you get so much money? The magnificence of this base surpassed his expectations. It would definitely not be possible to build it without a large sum of money. He didn't understand where Claude got so much money. Claude chuckled and said, "Part of it was blackmail. We were in the G1 branch base, but we have to leave. If there are no conditions, I will leave easily." Akainu understands that it turned out that Claude was blackmailing the G1 branch, and it is difficult for him to succeed. The G1 branch was re-established a few years ago, but a lot of money was invested. K made a part of his hand. This ability is really not so big. There are some, hey, Sakazuki, you may not know that since you set a precedent, the atmosphere of Marine has changed a lot now. Claude smiled very mysteriously. Now Akainu didn't understand. He asked, "What do you mean?" Claude said, "Remember why you were punished in the first place? It is because you privately distributed the money collected from the pirates to your soldiers. It is because of you that started, so many people are now fighting against arrests. When pirates, they secretly hide some belongings for distribution to their subordinates." Hearing this, Akainu's face instantly turned ugly, and he asked, "How did you know?" Claude saw Akainu's face change and said, "Sakazuki, don't be so nervous. This kind of thing hasn't happened on the surface, but it has happened a lot in the dark. You may not have been to meet Doberman for a long time. The Military Investigation Department of the People's Republic of China has handled several similar cases. However, don't care too much. Only a small number of people do this. Most people leave a small part of their belongings privately. Only those who are brave enough to leave behind most of their belongings. Investigations by the Military Investigation Department. The target is these people." Akainu said solemnly, "You did that too?" With regard to Akainu, Claude would naturally not conceal, and said, "Otherwise you thought I would have so much money. Every time I deal with a pirate, I will leave 10% of the treasure, and the rest will be turned in." Akainu was really surprised. He didn't expect that his temporary actions would bring such serious consequences. It was because he started this kind of thing that he knew the pros and cons of doing this very well. Doing so can really stimulate Marine to capture the pirates, but the disadvantage is that the human heart is the most difficult to satisfy. Once there is one, there will be a second time, and there will definitely be more and more in the future, which will lead to a vicious circle. At that time, the soldiers arrested the pirates just to fill their pockets, and Marine would be truly finished. Claude, you'd better keep a low profile in the future for this kind of thing. Akainu understands Claude. Claude may extract part of the benefits, but he is definitely a person with a bottom line. What's more, he is not the person in charge of Marine now, and he is not in his turn to call the shots, but he has already fainted in his heart. He has an idea. After he becomes Marine Marshal, he must make good rules in this regard. Claude smiled and said, "Sakazuki, I know what you are worried about, but don't worry. I still have a sense of measure, and I have trustworthy people under my hands, and there will be no problems." Akainu said, "I came to you this time because I want you to help me." Claude asked in surprise, "Ask me for help? Is there anything you can't handle?" Akainu said, "It's like this." After Akainu finished speaking, Claude suddenly said with a face full of surprise, "It turned out to be Golden Lion. After this guy escaped, he didn't hide, but dare to be so arrogant?" Akainu said, Since he jumped out and dared to do something to my people, he can't be let go this time. I don't have enough manpower and need your assistance. This time I definitely can't let Golden Lion escape. Claude said. No problem, of course I have to participate in such a meaningful thing. His grandma's, Sakazuki, you don't know my stamina in recent years. New World is completely ruled by the Pirate 4 Emperors. This pirate group is really arrogant and can't provoke it at all. I haven't participated in the big operation for a long time. This time, I must participate in dealing with the legendary pirates. Akainu said. Okay, then you can arrange it quickly. We will act as soon as possible, so that Golden Lion can't find it. Now that it was decided to do it, it must be a hit, and Golden Lion must not be allowed to escape. Claude is absolutely eloquent in the G5 branch base. To say something offensive, even if Marine Marshal Sengoku comes, he has no control over the G5 branch. Claude dispatched 2 warships, 2,000 men, plus Akainu's 1,000, a full 3,000 troops began to move. It's not that Claude is unwilling to send more people. It is not a good thing to have more people. If too many warships are carried out, it is easy to cause unnecessary trouble. If the Pirate 4 Emperors misunderstands it, it will be necessary. It caused a lot of movement. New World, Nord Central Sea. This is a relatively old sea area of New World, located in the center of New World. The environment is much worse than other sea areas, so this Nord Central Sea does not belong to the New World Pirate 4 Emperors. On one side, it is not controlled by the world government. This is a trivial zone. Not only is there a large number of pirates, but there are also many messy people and races. There are a few countries, but they are not strong, so it is quite chaotic here. At this moment, there is a very amazing scene in this central area of Nord, with dozens of small islands floating in the air, like a castle in the sky. To be able to float so many islands in the air, in this world, only one person can do it, that is, Golden Lion with lion fruit, and here is the base camp of Golden Lion. Since escaping from Marine's deep sea prison, Golden Lion has discovered that the changes in New World are no longer what he used to know, and his former subordinates have all fallen apart. If he is in good condition, he will definitely return to New World, but because his legs have been broken, he knows that his strength is greatly reduced, so he chooses to hide, restore his strength first, and start looking for his former subordinates. It's just that New World's changes are really fast. His strength has not yet recovered, but the New World 4 Emperors has already stood, and he has no place to stand, so he can only choose to hibernate in this Nordic Center Sea area, because it is here. Although his former site is now different from the past, his base camp still exists. But what he didn't expect was that when he returned here, he discovered that most of the subordinates he had arranged before had left. Those people thought he was finished, so naturally they would not continue to be loyal to him. Not only that, he also took away all the wealth he had collected, and when he came back, he saw an empty island. The reason why he would go to the Fishmen Island to attack the Marine branch base before was because a pirate they caught by the Ghost Spider was once his subordinate and swept most of his treasure. In order to recover the treasure, he had to go to the Marine branch base in person with his own identity. So many days have passed, are you still reluctant to say it? Golden Lion sat on the chair, looked at the pirate kneeling in front of him, and asked coldly. The kneeling pirate looked really miserable. He was covered in blood, especially on his face, with a blue nose and swollen nose, and he couldn't see the original appearance. Ahem. Unless, you, let me go first, otherwise, I won't tell you. The pirate raised his head with difficulty, looked at the Golden Lion sitting in front of him, and said, Asshole. Golden Lion yelled angrily, and saw that he suddenly picked up the knife tied to his leg, slashed with a blade, and smashed the pirate's body, bursting with blood. I asked you to guard your hometown, but your traitors dared to betray me and took away my treasure. Do you think I'm really dead? This pirate is the pirate he brought back from the Marine GX1 branch base. The reason why he did not hesitate to expose himself and save him is not because this person has a great relationship with him, but because this person is the person he once trusted very much. This person knows a lot about the location of his treasure. It is precisely because of this that after he was imprisoned and impelled down, this man became unhappy and stole all his treasures. When he came back, all he saw was a blank treasure room, which was naturally angry. It took him a lot of effort to investigate the whereabouts of the pirate, and then he did not hesitate to attack Marine base and brought him over, but this guy has a very stiff mouth. He has been tortured for many days and still refuses to let go. He doesn't care about this person's life or death. What he cares about is his huge treasure, the amazing treasure of billions of Baileys. This is the treasure he has scraped for decades, and it is his whole card. Now that these treasures have been stolen by his trusted subordinates, it is equivalent to stealing his hope, so what he wants to do most is to get those treasures back. Seeing that pirate was unwilling to say, Golden Lion was furious, but he could only suppress it and said, Tell me the whereabouts of those treasures, and I can spare your life. Hee hee, You, Golden Lion. Do you think it is a few years ago? Ahem, as your confidant, I treat you very, understand. I am afraid that after I say it, I will die, the pirate said disdainfully. Golden Lion snorted coldly. If you don't say it, you will be even worse. The pirate said, no matter how miserable it is better than death. Golden Lion is even more angry. In fact, treasure is important to him, but what is even more difficult for him to accept is that so many subordinates have betrayed him. As a big pirate who once dominated New World, he really couldn't accept his betrayal. Give you one more chance to take out all those treasures. I can leave the blame for the past and let you take the previous position. Golden Lion knew that the torture had been ineffective, so he could only change the method. The pirate said disdainfully, do you think I would believe you? As your former subordinate, I know you very well, so don't talk nonsense. There is only one choice. Let me go and I will give you the rest. Treasure, otherwise, let me die with those treasures. After getting a gasp, he didn't stammer anymore. Golden Lion clenched his fists. If it were 8 years ago, who would dare to talk to him like this? It's really a tiger falling in Pingyang. Even his former little brother dared to talk to him like this. If it weren't for this person, he would have killed him. Admiral. A pirate hurried over. Even though Golden Lion was not as good as before, but after all, the skinny camel was bigger than the horse. With his past power and prestige, the problem was not too big to recruit a group of subordinates. Golden Lion was upset. Seeing his subordinates rushing over, he immediately shouted angrily. What are you doing? Didn't you see that I was busy? After escaping from impelled down, Golden Lion's temper was much worse than before, becoming irritable and irritable. If things go wrong, they will get angry. The pirate who ran over panted violently, and said with a horrified face, see, Marine, there is Marine. Marine? Golden Lion's complexion changed, and he asked, make it clear, is Marine here? The pirate said nervously, warship, 3 warships have come to our site, it seems that the visitors are not good. Is it for me? After all, Golden Lion is a legendary pirate, and his vision is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Hearing the appearance of Marine, he immediately realized that Marine was here for him. After all, he had attacked Marine base not long ago, but he did not expect Marine to be. The action could be so fast, not only found his position, but also sent someone. Who is here? Do not know. Golden Lion tied 2 knives under his body, supported his body, stood up, and then ordered his opponent, shut down this bastard so that no one can touch it. I will go and see who it is that dares to come to my place. Although he is not as good as before, but he has no worries, because this is his base camp. Marine has only 3 warships, unless it is Garp and Sengoku are coming. Otherwise he is not afraid at all. But Garp and how could Sengoku come here at the same time? Is this the base camp of Golden Lion? Claude stood on the deck of the warship, looking at the dozens of large islands floating in the air in front of him, and the countless small islands around him, feeling shocked in his heart. The guy Golden Lion is really terrifying, floating so many islands in the air. Akainu said, this is Lion Fruit's ability to float touched objects. Unless Golden Lion is defeated and his fruit ability is restricted, these islands can always float in the air. Even Akainu has to be amazed. Lion Fruit does not say how powerful it is. This ability alone is very amazing. It can float so many islands in the air, and the weight of the load does not know whether there is an upper limit, and it can also make flying by yourself is definitely an ability that most people dream of. Aside from other things, this Lion Fruit is definitely more practical than most devil fruits, Claude said with emotion. Then he asked a little depressed. Sakazuki, these islands are all in the air. If the Golden Lion doesn't come down, how can we fight it? This is indeed a big problem. If Golden Lion should not fight and control these islands floating in the sky, even if they can't hit them with cannons, how to deal with Golden Lion? Akainu said, we have already hit the door. Golden Lion is a legendary pirate anyway. His pride will not allow him to shrink up, not to mention that even if he shrinks up, I can beat him down. Now that I have decided to deal with Golden Lion, I have already considered this for a long time. Actually, Akainu is a bit weird. He remembers that in the anime theater version, Golden Lion did not come to this place after escaping from Impel Down, but went to a strange island, and then regarded that island as own base camp. Now Golden Lion appeared in the central waters of the Nord, and I don't know if he pulled the island here, or because he escaped at a different time from the anime, and did not go to the island. Careful. While Akainu was talking to Claude, Akainu's face changed drastically, and he shouted, then the 3 warships moved quickly and quickly dispersed. I saw a small island in the sky crashing down at an extremely fast speed, and the location was amazingly where Akainu and their 3 warships were. Boom. There was a loud noise. Fortunately, the 3 warships dispersed in time and were not hit by that kind of small island. But even so, the waves caused by the island hitting the sea still sent the 3 warships far away, almost capsize. And also, the small island just now was just the beginning, and then another small island fell from the sky, and the marine soldiers all exclaimed. Humph. This time Akainu did not let the warship escape, but snorted coldly. His right hand turned into lava, and he punched the fallen island. The magma quickly turned into a giant lava fist, although it was not as large as the island. But after hitting the island, it blasted directly from the middle, and the island was blown up, mixed with magma, forming amazing volcanic bombs. Who lousy thought it was, it turned out to be you kid. An overbearing and arrogant laugh came, and there was a person flying in the sky, looking at Akainu and others condescendingly. Akainu looked up at him. He recognized this person at a glance, the Golden Lion who attacked Marineford Naval Headquarters. It's just that compared to the year before, the Golden Lion at this moment has obviously changed a lot. Not only does it have no legs, but even the spirit and energy are far less than before. Golden Lion, you finally dared to show up. I thought you would stay in hiding until you were dying, Akainu said disdainfully. The cold light in Golden Lion's eyes said coldly, boy, after so many years, you are the first person who dared to speak to lousy like this. If you had been, you would be a corpse now. The hero doesn't mention being brave. Akainu ridiculed. Don't say whether you have this ability. The world today is not the era you used to dominate. You are just an old guy who has expired, and you are an old guy with a broken leg, who can escape from impelled down. It's already your luck, but if you dare to come out and cause trouble, you're looking for a dead end. Ha ha ha. Golden Lion laughed wildly, pointed at Akainu, unabashedly angry. Lousy is Golden Lion. There is no place in the world that lousy dare not go to, let alone your small marine branch, even if it's your naval headquarters. Lousy is also taking photos. Akainu couldn't help but shook his head and said, what a fool who has been silent in the glory of the past, Golden Lion. Today is your death date. Boy. Golden Lion, who has become impulsive and irritable now, is really furious. He was ridiculed by Akainu. He couldn't stand it at all. He just started his hand. The sword on his leg was aimed at Akainu and kicked out, suddenly forming a sword aura. Sword chi rushed towards Akainu. The momentum was amazing, and it was not worse than Hawkeye's slash. Clang. The sword energy that could split everything did not strike Akainu and his warship, but was blocked by someone. It was Claude who blocked him. He held his huge blade in both hands and cut the sword. The chi was blocked, and only 10 seconds later, he vigorously pushed the sword aura away and bounced to the surrounding sea. The sword aura violently split the sea, causing an uproar. Haha. Worthy of being a pirate in the legend, it is so powerful with a single blow, it is really strong. Although Claude blocked the blow, he still couldn't help but exclaimed. In New World for such a long time, he hadn't met what kind of opponent he had. He had already seen Golden Lion, but if he played against it, he was still the first once. He originally thought that Golden Lion, who lost his legs, would definitely be at a discount, but now it seems that it is still that strong. Seeing that his attack was blocked, Golden Lion was also slightly surprised. I didn't expect that there would be someone among you who could block my attack. It seems that I really came here prepared. Can block one. See if you can block more. Golden Lion shot again. This time he kicked out several kicks in a row, showing the same sword aura as before, slashing towards the position of the warship in all directions. His idea is very simple. It is to destroy Marine's warship first. Without warships, capable people like Akainu will become waste. In his eyes, among this group of Marines, only Akainu can pose a threat to him. Claude jumped up again, and several people rushed out of the warship and went straight to the Golden Lion's sword energy. At the same time, Akainu also jumped up, but instead of resisting those sword auras, he rushed directly to the Golden Lion. If he couldn't solve the Golden Lion, he would still create sword auras. Burning River Rock. Akainu used Moonwalk to move in the air, and spit out dozens of magma balls in his mouth, slamming them quickly towards the Golden Lion. While flying in the air, Golden Lion slashed the magma balls close to him one by one with the double knives he used as legs. Golden Lion is not close to Akainu at all, just attacking with sword energy from a distance, and Akainu not only has to use Moonwalk to move in the air, but also attack Golden Lion, so it is quite overwhelmed, unlike Golden Lion. After flying in the air for a while, Akainu finally started to fall. Moonwalk's flaw is this. After all, it is not a real air flight. Although it can change direction in the air, it is not actually flying and cannot stay in the air. Long time. Seeing Akainu fall, the Golden Lion certainly didn't let this opportunity go. He quickly bullied himself and used his sword aura to slash Akainu continuously, but although his sword aura is very lethal, don't forget that Akainu is a Logia-capable person. His sword energy passed through Akainu's body, and he couldn't cause any damage to Akainu at all. Golden Lion also discovered this problem, so he immediately stopped, and instead rushed to Akainu himself, preparing for a close attack. Golden Lion came to Akainu's head and fell from the sky. The double swords on his legs covered armament Hawkeye, and he pierced the Akainu below. If he could stab Akainu, he would definitely be able to severely wound Akainu and even kill Akainu. His sword skills are very confident. Clang. Golden Lion's double knives did not stab Akainu, but at the moment they were about to stab, they were caught by Akainu's hands. Even though Golden Lion attacked from top to bottom and had an advantage, Akainu's Hawkeye was obviously better than Golden Lion is stronger, so after the double knives were caught, it just cracked a little bit. The two have come into contact with each other. Akainu grabbed the double knives, his eyes were red, half of his body turned into magma, and he kicked Golden Lion's body. The powerful explosive power and magma lethal power directly destroyed Golden Lion's body. Kick flying. Golden Lion has the power of lion fruit, so even if he is kicked by Akainu, he is still in the air, but after Akainu's kick, his whole person immediately falls quickly. Fortunately, there is a warship below, which has become his foothold. Otherwise, it will be bad if you fall into the sea. But when Akainu landed on the warship, a scene that changed his face happened. Only one of the three warships suddenly flew up from the sea, and soon left the sea and floated into the air. Magma Boy. Why are you fighting with me? Those who want to save you, come with me. The arrogant voice of Golden Lion sounded, and he saw Akainu triumphantly under the floating warship. Then, without talking nonsense with Akainu, he controlled the warship and flew higher into the air. The soldiers on the warship were naturally unwilling to be caught by the Golden Lion and kept attacking the Golden Lion, but unfortunately, they could not pose any threat to the Golden Lion at all, and they did not dare to jump off, only watching themselves in the warship get away the farther the sea is. Golden Lion. Seeing this scene, Akainu shouted angrily. He didn't expect that a person like Golden Lion would escape, instead of fighting with him, but leaving with his warship, making him very passive now. Akainu wanted to chase, but how could he be able to catch up with the flying Golden Lion? He could only watch the warship farther and farther away. Sakazuki. What should I do? Not only Akainu, but even Claude was dumbfounded. The Golden Lion's trick was really amazing. They controlled the warship to fly away. A group of them could only stare at them and could not do anything. After all, there was no one among them have the ability to fly. Akainu looked ugly and said, "It seems that I really underestimated Golden Lion. He has experienced failures and he has changed a lot. If it were the previous Golden Lion, with his Hawkeye and arrogance, there was no possibility of escape. In fact, at Marineford, Golden Lion didn't have the chance to escape, but he didn't do that. Instead, he fought to the end, bloody, but ended up being captured by Marine. This time he completely lost the Hawkeye of the Year, and evacuated after a few moves with Akainu, and there was no nonsense, and he would not leave Akainu and the others." Claude said, "We have no way to go to the sky. If Golden Lion just avoids fighting like this, we can't do anything with him," and the soldiers of that warship fell into Golden Lion's hands, and the consequences would be disastrous. Akainu said solemnly, "Since he wants to avoid fighting, I will force him to fight to see who can hold on." Before dealing with the Golden Lion, he considered the abilities of the Golden Lion. If he was flying, he would not be able to catch up, but as long as he forced the Golden Lion to fight to the death, he would be able to subdue the Golden Lion. After just playing a few tricks with Golden Lion, he also found that Golden Lion's strength is much worse than his original domineering and invincible. He is now more adept at using two knives to fight at a distance. As long as he can get close, Golden Lion is not as flexible as before. The speed, coupled with Golden Lion's fatal weakness, he is 90% sure to defeat Golden Lion. "What do you want to do?" Claude looked at Akainu's grim face and asked nervously. Akainu said, "It's been a long time since I used that trick. This time, I want to see where my limits are." As he said, he raised his hands and pointed them at the sky, meteor volcano. With a burst of shout, his hands suddenly turned into magma, and then he exerted force from his shoulders, and the amazing lava fist blasted out and flew directly into the sky. The number became more and more, and it continued. It took several minutes. "Is it necessary to play that big?" Claude saw Akainu cast meteor volcano. His face became very solemn. He naturally knew the power of this trick. After Akainu finished playing the intro, he let out a sigh of relief. Just now he used his full strength and he couldn't remember how many punches he blasted. But one thing is certain, compared to the naval headquarters, the power is at least several times stronger. Even if you can't knock down all the islands floating in the air, it will inevitably leave Golden Lion nowhere to hide. I want to recover my strength first. Golden Lion can't help it. He will come out soon. As long as he fights with me, I will definitely be able to kill him. He has a fatal weakness. I have already thought of dealing with him. Method. Because he was accumulating for a long time this time, the power of meteor volcano would be great, but it would also consume a lot of energy. He had to regain his energy before the golden lion appeared. Claude patted his chest and said, "Sakazuki, don't worry, even if you can't do it, there will be me." Akainu nodded. Claude is very strong, stronger than the ghost spider. If you fight with Golden Lion, you may not be able to defeat Golden Lion, but it will definitely not be so easy to lose. Questionable. After about 2 minutes or so, the sky suddenly turned into a blood red, and it continued to roll around, as if something was brewing in it. Coming. Claude's heart was shocked. He knew Akainu's meteor volcano, but he hadn't really seen it before, so after seeing the strange shape of the sky, his eyes were wide and full of anticipation. I really look forward to it. How strong will Sakazuki's tricks be? Golden Lion took control of the warship and flew into the sky. He was confident that Akainu had nothing to do with him. What's more, he still had soldiers from a warship in his hand, but the battle with Akainu just now made him have to admit that if he fights Akainu recklessly, his chances of winning may not be much, so he will make the best move. He is really full of emotions about the changes in this world. A few years ago, Roger and Whitebeard dominated the New World. Even Marine couldn't do anything about them, but only a few years ago, the legend of the year. Pirates, apart from Whitebeard who still dominates New World, Roger is dead and he is also abandoned. Now he was actually forced to such an extent by a Marine Admiral, to use such a method that he would never have considered before. This Magma Boy is indeed a bit strong. No wonder Whitebeard didn't kill him at the beginning. Akainu's strength really exceeded his expectations. When he attacked Naval Headquarters, he had a relationship with Akainu, but at that time, Akainu was only Marine Vice Admiral, and there was no threat to him. In the past few years, the situation of the two of them has changed drastically. Although Lousy has no legs, no one can even ride on my head. Sooner or later, I will regain everything that belongs to me. No one can stop it. Thinking of his own power and prestige back then, looking at the present, the gap is really too great. No wonder his temperament has changed so much. It is probably not as good as him if he is replaced by someone else. First. Golden Lion was thinking. Suddenly he looked up and saw the changes in the air. His face suddenly changed. This is that kid's ability. It seemed that it was this trick that killed a lot of my subordinates. He was so close to the sky. Naturally, he quickly discovered the abnormal shape of the sky. That kind of fiery red, like a burning cloud, made him involuntarily think of the day 8 years ago. The lava fist that fell from the sky and looked like a meteor. What a horror. When Golden Lion realized that it was not good, Meteor Volcano's attack had already arrived, and the lava giant fists all over the sky fell like a meteor, which was much more spectacular than the scene of the year. Boom boom boom. Golden Lion looked ugly as the lava smashed onto the islands supported by him, causing an astonishing explosion. This bastard. Golden Lion watched this scene angrily, but there was no way to stop it. Even if he moved all the islands, he couldn't avoid the meteoric lava falling from the sky. The amount is really amazing, and the force falling from the sky makes the magma violent. Increase. No matter how angry he was, he knew that he could not stop this trick. He looked at the warship floating in the air, and an idea emerged in his heart, wanting to throw the warship under the attack of magma, but he finally thought about it. Gave up this idea, controlled the warship, and placed it next to the island where he lived. He did this not because he was soft-hearted, but because he wanted to keep a whole card. This warship, thousands of soldiers, but a very good whole card. The island that controlled the warship and the island where he lived left the attack range of Meteor Volcano. Until the end of Meteor Volcano, most of the islands in the air had been destroyed, and all kinds of volcanic bombs and stone debris fell into the sea from the air. Sakazuki, you made a mistake in your calculations. Golden Lion did not look back, but fled. Akainu opened his eyes and heard Claude speak to him with a heavy face. Although he has been recovering his strength, he still knows the surrounding situation. The Golden Lion did not attack them. Obviously his previous guess was wrong, and he did not push Golden Lion over. Although this is the wisest choice, it is enough to show that Golden Lion is really at the end of the road. The choice of Golden Lion surprised him. He did not expect that the former Overlord Golden Lion really did not have the sharpness and audacity of the past. When facing danger, he chose to escape. Catch up. He was originally to solve the Golden Lion, not to mention that now Golden Lion is also holding a ship of his men. In any case, he must catch up. The goal of Golden Lion is quite obvious, such a big island, plus a warship, so Akainu and the others can easily chase behind them. Still chasing? Seeing Akainu and the others chasing them all the time, Golden Lion finally couldn't bear it and stopped and continued to flee. At this time, he had already arrived in front of an island. He stopped, not only because Akainu and the others were still chasing after him, but also because Lion Fruit's ability allowed him to float the objects he touched. It doesn't require much physical energy to float, but he controls it. A floating object needs to consume energy to move, and if it continues like this, his energy will be exhausted sooner or later. Floating the island and warship in the air, Golden Lion himself landed on the island in front of him. The Golden Lion stopped. Akainu and others, who had been chasing after him, also found that the Golden Lion had stopped. Akainu said immediately, "It seems that I guessed right. Even lion fruit does not limit the floating and movement of objects." There are not many descriptions of lion fruit in the anime, but they are very strong. However, Akainu always feels that lion fruit cannot be so unsolvable. If it is really possible to float objects without restriction and control their movement, Golden Lion only needs to keep touching objects, floating everything in the air, and moving whatever you want. Isn't it really invincible in the world? Another point is that he found that the heights of the floating objects of the Golden Lion are basically the same, so it is possible that there are also restrictions on the height, but perhaps only Golden Lion knows what they are. Akainu kid, don't you want to fight Lousy? You land on the island alone. Lousy is here waiting for you. If there is a second person to land on the island, I will drop that warship from the sky and let your people. There is no burial place for death. The voice of Golden Lion came over, and Akainu was very surprised that Golden Lion actually invited him to fight, but this was exactly what he thought. Sakazuki, don't be careless, Golden Lion brought us here, there is a possibility of conspiracy, Claude persuaded. Akainu waved his hand and said, needless to say, just do what he said. He is already at the end of the road. At any rate, he is also a legendary pirate. Give him some dignity and let me execute him personally. No matter what conspiracy and methods Golden Lion has, he is fearless. Under his mighty power, any conspiracy and tricks are invalid, and the threat of Golden Lion does have some effect. If he drops that warship from the air, many people will die as a result. Akainu confessed to Claude, especially to make him pay attention to the warship in the air, and let him rescue in time at the critical moment, and then jumped off the warship and headed to the island where the Golden Lion was in front. Golden Lion, here I am. He has been under the Golden Lion, looked at the Golden Lion in the sky, and said, let me really understand your strength and see how far you are from Whitebeard. What did you say? The Golden Lion fell from the sky, and when he heard Akainu's words, he roared, you said I am weaker than Whitebeard? Akainu sneered, isn't this true? If you are still with your legs, you may be able to compete with Whitebeard, but now, you are far away. Before Golden Lion was caught, his name was indeed not weaker than Whitebeard, and even stronger, as well as in terms of strength, but now that he has no legs, it is naturally impossible to match Whitebeard. After all, he is different from Shanks. After losing an arm, he was still able to hold the position of the Pirate Four Emperors. Just let you see my power. Golden Lion used 2 swords to continuously attack Akainu with sword chi, but Akainu had seen the power of this trick, and was unmoved at all, could easily resist it, and quickly approached him. Lion Majesty. Earth coiling. Suddenly the whole ground was lifted up and turned into countless lion heads, swallowing Akainu. Boom. A large amount of magma erupted, directly overwhelming the lion head clods, and rushed towards the Golden Lion. Lion. Thousand Slice Valley. In this match, Golden Lion was very serious. Several sword chi splits the magma, and even rushed to Akainu. 2 sword lights flashed by, splitting Akainu's whole body in 3 halves. The magma gathered together and regained the appearance of Akainu. His face was covered with magma, and he said coldly, Golden Lion, your attack like this is invalid for me. I am no longer the Marine Vice who stood there and watched you perform. Admiral, I'm Admiral Akainu now, if you don't use all your strength, you will be dead. Boom boom boom. There was a violent roar on the entire island, and Claude and others who were in the sea were also able to see the continuous eruption of magma in the island and the magnificence of the ground churning. Akainu and Golden Lion have played for a full 20 minutes. Even if Akainu's current strength has been at the top of the sea, Golden Lion's strength has dropped to a certain level, but Akainu still cannot win Golden Lion in a short time. And no, if Golden Lion had his legs alive, his strength would be terrifying. However, people outside can't see the specific situation, but in fact the battle between the two has gradually come to an end. After all, Akainu is more powerful, and the Golden Lion is almost impossible to retreat. Zuohei Great Eruption. The speed of the Golden Lion was obviously reduced a lot. Akainu grabbed it, and then used a trick of using 80,000 fear points to exchange from the system. The Great Eruption caught the Golden Lion and slammed it to the ground. An amazing volcanic eruption was formed, and half of the island was filled with magma. It was this blow that completely defeated the Golden Lion. Although it failed to kill the Golden Lion, it also severely wounded the Golden Lion and lost the ability to continue fighting. You lose. Akainu walked slowly in front of Golden Lion. He held the 2 knives that Golden Lion used as his legs in both hands. Golden Lion, who had lost even these 2 knives, naturally couldn't continue fighting with him. Golden Lion was sitting on the ground, and his body was burned in many places, and even his internal organs were severely injured. Even if Akainu didn't move his hands, it would be difficult for him to survive. Unexpectedly, Laozi has been in the world for so many years, and will eventually be defeated in the hands of a kid like you. Golden Lion is full of unwillingness. He is the overlord of New World. He competes with Roger for the One Piece. A man who wants to become the king of the world, he did not expect that he will eventually be defeated by Marine Admiral. Akainu said faintly, "You are old and you don't have your previous ambitions. More importantly, the world is progressing. Only you are regressing. Therefore, you are not wrong." Golden Lion snorted coldly, and said, "Boy, you won, and you are right in everything, but don't forget, you still have a man from a warship under Laozi's control. If Laozi hugs them and bury them together, you too there is no way." Akainu said, "If you say that, it seems that there is still room for discussion. Let's talk about what you want me to do so that I can let my people go. The premise is that I can't let you go. Laozi doesn't need your kind of kid to put it." Although he was defeated by Akainu, Golden Lion did not lose his demeanor. He still had an overbearing appearance. He said coldly, "It's not impossible to want me to let you go, as long as you promise me a request." Akainu frowned slightly, but nodded and said, "You said it." The expression of Golden Lion suddenly became very complicated. He gritted his teeth and said, "My biggest opponent in my life is Roger. I tried every means to defeat him and subdue him, but in the end I didn't succeed. I was not reconciled, even if he died. I'm not reconciled, even if I get below, I will continue to fight with him." He suddenly started, staring at Akainu with red eyes and said, "I want you to bury my bones in East Blue Log Town. If you can bury me and Roger together, and I will fight him forever. As long as you can do it, I will promise you everything." Golden Lion's request really surprised Akainu. He really never thought that Golden Lion would make such a request. However, thinking of Golden Lion's actions and endings in the anime, he understood a little bit in his heart. For Golden Lion, his biggest wish was to defeat Roger, but when Roger died, he did not achieve this. In the movie version, he wanted to destroy East Blue, which was also related to Roger, so now he was buried in East Blue, and he was able to understand. "Buying you in East Blue, I can promise, but I can't be buried with Roger," Akainu said. He really couldn't do this, because he didn't know where Roger's body was. Golden Lion hesitated for a moment. He knew he couldn't live anymore. The Akainu in front of him was too murderous and could never give him a chance. So he said, "Well, as long as you bury me in East Blue, I can let go your people, and can bring you a lot of wealth." "What do you mean?" Akainu asked puzzledly. Golden Lion said, "Do you know why I attacked the Fishman Island Marine base? Because they captured my former subordinates and he stole my treasure. I can give him to you, but can you if you get that treasure, it depends on your own ability. By the way, my treasure is as many as billions of Baileys, and there are many treasures, including devil fruit." When Akainu heard this, his face suddenly became very surprised. No wonder Golden Lion would make such a decision. It turned out to be like this: billions of Pele's treasures, and various treasures, it's anyone, I'm afraid they will do that. It's just that Golden Lion seems to have not recovered the treasure yet, so that's why he said this to him. Akainu asked, "Golden Lion, I don't understand why you told me this. We are enemies, and I want to kill you. Why are you telling me such important news instead?" Golden Lion suddenly showed a meaningful smile and said, "Because you own Conqueror's Hawkeye." "What's the explanation?" Akainu was stunned. He thought Golden Lion had any special requirements, but he didn't expect him to say such a word. After saying that, Golden Lion did not speak anymore, but controlled the island in the warship to land on this island, then stared at Akainu and shouted, "Laozi is a Golden Lion. How could it be possible? I am the only one who can kill me if I die in Marine's hands." As he said, his whole body shook, and his eyes gradually lost their brilliance, but until he lost his breath, he was still sitting there, his eyes widened, staring in one direction. When the warship and the island fell, Claude on the coast had already rushed into the island. He ordered others to rescue the people on the warship and arrested Golden Lion's men, while he himself was swiftly moving towards the island. Came here with Akainu. Golden Lion is dead. After Claude came here, he saw the dead Golden Lion at a glance, and asked in astonishment. He had seen the movement of the battle disappear before, and he knew that the winner was decided, but he didn't expect that Akainu was so sharp that he would directly kill the Golden Lion. "I didn't kill the Golden Lion, he committed suicide." Although Golden Lion did commit suicide because he was defeated, suicide is suicide, and he does not hide it. Claude was even more surprised. He could make Golden Lion commit suicide. This is no simpler than killing Golden Lion, and Golden Lion put down the warship before committing suicide. Why? Akainu did not explain so much, but said, "Gathering the bones of Golden Lion, I promised him to bury him in East Blue Log Town." Claude was surprised. "Do you still have this kindness?" Akainu gave him a blank look, and then said, "Go to his island and catch all the pirates. Golden Lion prepared a big gift for me before he died." Claude asked. "What kind of gift?" Akainu resent to Claude what Golden Lion said to him just now. After listening to it, Claude beamed his eyes and said excitedly, "It's really a big gift, it's really a big gift. I immediately just go find that bastard." Claude moved very fast, and after 10 minutes, he brought the man over. "It's him." Akainu looked at the bruised man in front of him and asked. Claude said, "I have tortured other pirates, this is the man. Golden Lion is dead." When the pirate saw Golden Lion's body, he immediately showed an expression of disbelief. Then he looked at Akainu. The fear on his face became even stronger. With Golden Lion, he could still negotiate, but with Marine, he had nothing but despair. Akainu looked at the pirate and said, "I'm Marine Admiral Akainu. I don't know what your name is, and I don't want to know. Golden Lion has already told me everything. My goal is very simple, that's the treasure. I need your help." Marine Admiral Akainu? Fear score from Lisha Norris Williams, +265. Hearing this name, the pirate was even more terrified, but when Akainu mentioned the treasure, he shuddered, and his fear diminished slightly, and asked nervously, "If I tell you, you will let me go?" Akainu said coldly, "It seems that you still haven't figured out your situation. You are not qualified to negotiate terms with me. Tell me immediately the answer I want to know." This pirate named Lisha was tortured by Golden Lion for so long and did not speak out. Naturally, he was also a guy with very hard bones. Even though he had fear in his heart, he still did not speak out. "Unless you promise to let me go, I will never tell you." Snapped. Akainu slapped him into the air, then pulled him back, and said coldly, "Say it." Fear score from Lisha Norris Williams, +374. "Unless you let me go, I won't say anything." After being slapped by Akainu, the pirate was still afraid, but still refused to say the answer. "Take him back. I want to see if his mouth is harder or my methods are harder." Claude smiled and said, "Okay, I will have the bodies of him and Golden Lion be brought back." Although there was some accident in this trip, it finally achieved the desired result. Killing the Golden Lion was considered revenge for the soldiers who died in the GX-1 branch base. There were no casualties on the warship that was taken away by Golden Lion before, which made Akainu breathe a sigh of relief. 3 days later, at the G5 branch base, Claude found Akainu and said with a smile, "Sakazuki, you still have the means, and finally let the kid speak out. Tisk tisk, I've heard of your torture methods for a long time. I found that the rumors are far worse than the reality." In order to get enough fear value, Akainu personally executed the execution this time. The pirates under Golden Lion were basically tortured by him. Among them, the pirate at the location where the master was holding the treasure was the object of his torment. After spending 3 full days, Akainu finally knocked open the other party's mouth, and learned from his mouth the location of the treasures of Golden Lion. During this process, Claude watched with relish on the first day, but he stopped going the next day. It was not that he was timid, but that he couldn't stand the atmosphere, which made people very depressing. In 3 days, Akainu gained 20,000 fear points. Therefore, torturing people is indeed the most convenient way to obtain fear points, but this kind of thing is also a double-edged sword. He has suffered a loss. So every time it is enough, the mentality is very good and will not be affected. "Stop talking nonsense, take your people, and quickly get the things out," Akainu said angrily. Claude said, "No problem, where are the pirates?" A cold light flashed in Akainu's eyes, and said, "This matter must never be spread, nor can it be spread at all." Claude immediately understood what he meant, not to mention the pirates, even Marine could not be passed out, otherwise such a large amount of treasure would eventually fall into their hands. "I am afraid that not many. I know what to do, and when I go to fetch it, I bring the most trusted person with me to ensure that no news will go out. The amount of this treasure is huge. Even Golden Lion's subordinates, not many people know that Golden Lion told him before he died, and he only told Claude one person, and the rest were even Jonathan and others. I don't even know, it's not that he doesn't trust them, but the less people know about this matter, the better, he doesn't want to happen again. I have to say that the pirate named Lisha is really cunning. After stealing Golden Lion's treasure, he divided them into 5 parts and hid them in 5 places in New World, and they were all very remote places. Without the exact location he provided, no one would have thought that there would be treasures there. It took Claude 2 months to take out all the treasures. As expected, Golden Lion did not lie. This treasure adds up to a total of 5.3 billion Baileys. This is still excluding the rest of the precious items, and there are also 2 devil fruits. In fact, it was also bad luck for Lisha. It was in the 2nd year of Golden Lion's arrest that he transferred these treasures out after he determined that Golden Lion would not appear again. However, after a year of being unrestrained, Golden Lion escaped. Coming out, he quickly hid in fright. He hadn't used any money for a few years, and he didn't even use 1/10 of the treasure he transferred. Now these treasures are completely cheap. Akainu. After Claude quietly transported the treasures back, he immediately found Akainu. So much, what are you going to do? Claude asked Akainu with a heavy face. After seeing these treasures, Akainu was also very surprised. He knew what Claude meant. If so much money were used all at once, it would definitely arouse people's suspicion, so it must be handled properly. For Claude, the two have been in friendship for decades, and Akainu absolutely trusts him, and he doesn't even need to use a loyalty card with Claude. It's not convenient for me to take these belongings. They will stay with you. You can only use the money to develop your own army. You can only be a trustworthy person. It is best to build an invincible division. Claude changed his face and asked, Sakazuki, what do you want to do? Isn't it because you want to rebel? Akainu whispered, do you think it's possible? I want to develop my own power and prepare for my future ascendance to the position of Marine Marshal. I always feel that Marine can only develop the most in my hands. Good. Claude suddenly couldn't help but smile. You are really not modest at all, but what is the relationship between the two of us? No matter what you say, I will definitely support you. With this money, I promise to build a strong army and ensure allegiance to you inside and out. Don't worry. Akainu said, this is not enough. In addition to you, New World has a G1 branch. Claude was surprised. Do you also want to play the G1 branch? This is difficult. Those people are not on the same road as us. Hope to subdue them is too slim. Akainu said, how can you know if you haven't tried it? Paluzalino will soon be transferred back to the headquarters. As for the Kirilenko Vice Admiral, I have investigated him. He has not been with Marshal Sengoku for a long time. It's not Marshal Sengoku's confidant. There is still a chance to be able to pull to my side. Claude actually doesn't like Kirilenko very much. He feels that this person is more calculating, but Akainu has said so, and he will not refuse, so he said, well, I will try. A cold light flashed in Akainu's eyes and said, if he disagrees, try to get rid of him. Hiss. Claude took a breath, and said in surprise, Sakazuki, do you want to do such a great job? That guy is also Marine Vice Admiral anyway, and he is also the main general of the G1 branch. No, it's not that I don't want to help you, I really do. Can't handle it. Akainu knew Claude's temperament and saw his objection, so he thought about it, and said, you go and try first. If it doesn't work, I see if you can replace him. In this case, you don't need to. Do it. Claude nodded immediately and said, this is good, this is okay. Don't look at how cruel he usually strikes against the pirates, but he can't deal with his colleagues even if they disagree. For Claude's insistence, Akainu is also more helpless. This is the difference between Claude and the Ghost Spider. If he changes to a Ghost Spider, he will definitely do what he says, because the Ghost Spider is his most trusted subordinate. And Claude is just his most trusted friend. There are similarities and differences between friends and subordinates. After staying in the G5 branch for a period of time, Akainu returned to the branch base of the Fishmen Island and brought a sum of money to the Ghost Spider to restore the base with all his strength and grow stronger. Not long after returning to the GX1 branch base, Akainu received an order from the headquarters. Sengoku told him to return to naval headquarters after half a year, because the world government has officially issued an order to be promoted to Marine Admiral candidate in half a year. Russolino is Marine Admiral, his current Marine Admiral will naturally attend the ceremony. Porusolino is going to become Marine Admiral, and it seems that Marshal Sengoku must play a role in this. The Ghost Spider is not really surprised that Paluzalino wants to become Marine Admiral, because Paluzalino has been a candidate for Admiral for many years, and Sengoku has always wanted to promote him, but 5 elders has never a decision was made, so it was delayed until now. However, the power of the pirates is expanding rapidly, especially the existence of the 4 emperors of the New World pirates, which has become Marine's confidant. Even the 7 warlords of the sea system has come out, so the power of your own is naturally more important. Promotion, so Paluzalino becomes Marine Admiral is a certainty. Akainu said, Porusolino's becoming Marine Admiral is a trend, and no one can stop it. He doesn't know when Paluzalino in the anime became Marine Admiral, but more than 10 years later, Paluzalino has become Admiral for many years, so it's almost time for him to become Admiral. A few months passed in a blink of an eye. On this day, Akainu suddenly received a news that surprised him. What are you talking about? Fisher Tiger of the Murloc attacked Marie Joyce and freed thousands of slaves. Akainu asked the Ghost Spider in disbelief. The Ghost Spider replied, yes, this happened just a few days ago. How could this be? Akainu muttered to himself. The Ghost Spider didn't understand what Akainu meant, and just said, no one knows what's going on. It said that this Murloc boarded the Red Line with bare hands. At night, he released thousands of slaves in the slave camp. It is about to spread all over the world. The world government is really embarrassed this time. Its base camp has been beaten up by others. This is a situation that hasn't happened in hundreds of years. He sighed and shook his head here, but he didn't know how strong the shock in Akainu's heart was, because he was not there when the slave ship happened. Akainu is really shocked, because he knows exactly who Fisher Tiger is. He rescued this man from a slave boat more than 3 years ago. As far as he knows, Fisher in the anime, the reason Tiger would climb the red line and release his slaves was because he was once a slave by celestial dragons. Knowing the pain, he wanted to save his fellow slaves, so he boarded the red line. But the problem is that after Fisher Tiger was rescued by him, he was no longer a slave. How could he do the same thing again? After thinking about it, there is only one possibility, that is, this guy is too sad. After being rescued by Akainu, he was caught again and sold to celestial dragons and became a slave. Otherwise, he would not be so familiar with Marie Joy's. Rescued so many slaves. It seems that some things cannot be changed. This result made Akainu sigh with emotion. Some things may be destined. Even if he changes a little, it will not change the final outcome. Fisher Tiger still embarked on his own path. Suddenly, the soldiers came to report. Sakazuki Admiral, King Neptune and Princess Otahime of the Fishmen Island invite you to discuss matters. The ghost spider said, "It's really fast enough. As soon as we received the information, they sent someone to invite it." Akainu said, "I see, you can go down first. Are you going?" Ghost Spider asked. Akainu said, "Of course we are going. Anyway, we are all neighbors. Although the overall strength of the Murlocs is not very good, their combat effectiveness is still good in the ocean floor. Part of the power." Akainu went to Dragon Palace City alone, and the Murloc guards led him directly into the main hall. "Sakazuki Admiral, you are here, please sit down." Neptune and Princess Otahime were very polite after seeing Akainu. Since the establishment of the Marine GX-1 branch base, the situation of the Fishmen Island has been completely changed. There are not many pirates who dare to make trouble in the Fishmen Island. And the Murlocs of the Fishmen Island also began to trade with humans. The Fishmen Island is thriving, so they are very grateful to Akainu. Akainu was also not polite. After sitting down, he asked directly, "I don't know what the two of you are asking me to do." Princess Otahime did not speak, but Neptune said, "Sakazuki Admiral, you should have heard about Marie Joy's?" Akainu nodded and said, "Yes, I have heard that you have talents in the Fishmen Island, and you dare to go to Marie Joy's to release slaves. This is a feat that hasn't happened in hundreds of years." Neptune smiled awkwardly, and said, "We really don't know about this. We don't know how the world government will deal with it. Will it involve us the Fishmen Island?" Akainu sneered in her heart, not knowing. This Neptune really knows nothing about what Fisher Tiger has to do, he knows best, but now that things come out, he is the first to want to separate the relationship, and he is also afraid world government implicated them. Such a Murloc king, it is no wonder that so many Murloc people would not accept him, and it is no wonder that his reputation is not as good as Fisher Tiger, or even his princess. This matter is not in my control, and it's useless if you ask me. Neptune and Princess Otahime looked at each other, and then Neptune said again, "Sakazuki Admiral, we want you to make peace with you. After all, at the last World Summit, our request was not accepted." When Akainu heard the words, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and his aura was released. He said in a deep voice, "His Royal Highness is blaming me." The murderous aura on his body was as real as it was, and it frightened Neptune, and Princess Otahime's face flushed even more. "You misunderstood, we don't have such thoughts, you really misunderstood," Princess Otahime said nervously. "Humph." Akainu snorted coldly and said, "We made it very clear when we talked about cooperation. We will help you, but there is no guarantee that you will succeed. As a result, you tell me this now. Don't forget, the Fishmen Island can be so peaceful now, but it is all dependent on our marine. Otherwise you think the name of Whitebeard can scare off those pirates?" Hearing Akainu's unceremonious scolding, Neptune's face looked very ugly, but he also had to admit that this was a fact. The name of Whitebeard can indeed scare some people, but some people are not afraid of Whitebeard. But after the establishment of the Marine branch base, the vast majority of pirates are afraid to mess around on the Fishmen Island. This is an iron fact. For those pirates, 4 Emperor's Whitebeard, a pirate far away in New World, is far less deterrent than the nearby Marine. Princess Otahime took a breath and said softly, "Mr. Sakazuki, we really didn't intend to offend. He just cares and messes up. Please forgive me." Akainu said, "No, I know what you want to say, but I really can't help you. Instead of telling me this here, it's better for you to find a way." After speaking, he didn't care about Neptune's ugly expression, and just turned and left. When he came before, he was still thinking about whether to draw Neptune and the others into his camp, but after seeing Neptune's attitude towards Fisher Tiger, he immediately abandoned this idea. Like this, a half-hearted person who is only for his own benefit, even if he is brought to his own camp, he is not sure that one day he will be stabbed in the back. Just like a king like Neptune, it's no wonder that the Murlocs are getting more and more difficult. If he had the courage of Fisher Tiger, at least he would not be bullied like he is now. It was Princess Otahime who still had some courage, but it was a pity that she was a woman after all, and she had no power, and she was destined to be unable to lead the Murlocs. Because the time for Kizaru to be promoted to Admiral is approaching, Akainu left the bottom of the sea and returned to naval headquarters. Then he got the news that Fisher Tiger was wanted by the world government immediately after he released the slave, and he was offered a reward of 230 million Baileys. Paluzolino, who was about to be promoted to Marine Admiral, happened to receive this order, and he took his men to hunt down Fisher Tiger. The turmoil caused by Fisher Tiger was indeed very big, but in fact, his own strength was not very good. A few months later, he was trapped by Marine for sending a little human girl back to his hometown, and he was seriously injured and killed. Paluzolino's subordinates removed Fisher Tiger, which made the world government very satisfied, so his promotion was also very smooth, and the whole process went smoothly. His codename Kizaru, and naval the Admiral of Headquarters has become 3. The older generation of Admiral Zephyr, the new generation of Akainu and Kizaru. After Kizaru became Marine Admiral, the world government immediately announced another thing that shocked the sea, that is, the 7 warlords of the sea system. After the announcement of the 7 warlords of the sea system, several people who have become Shichibukai were also announced, namely, Eagle Eye, Dracule Mihawk, Bartholomew Kuma, Great Pirate, and Gecko Moria. As soon as the news was announced, it caused a sensation in the world, especially for the pirate forces. It was tantamount to dropping a bomb. New World. Goo la la la, the world government is really making big moves, and it came up with such a decision. Whitebeard laughed. The 7 warlords of the sea system knew at first glance that it was specifically aimed at the New World Pirate 4 Emperors, so the Pirate 4 Emperors naturally received the news soon. Marco also smiled and said, "The world government seems to be really pressed for it. It even used such a response method. I don't know which genius came up with it. This is to divide the forces of our pirates." Whitebeard said, "This 7 warlords of the sea is a good strategy, but they too underestimate the power of pirates. If they want to rely on this method to deter pirates all over the world, they can only say that they are too whimsical." What kind of person is Whitebeard? He knew at a glance that 7 warlords of the sea was set specifically for their Pirate 4 Emperors, but he was not worried at all. The Pirate 4 Emperors had dominated more than half of the New World. Even 7 warlords of the sea has really appeared, and it is difficult to influence them. And after becoming Shichibukai, you will undoubtedly stand on the opposite side of all the pirates, will be spurned by the pirates, won the rights granted by the world government, and lost the trust of other pirates. But not long ago, that guy Akainu was able to kill Golden Lion, which surprised me very much. Speaking of Golden Lion, Whitebeard's expression suddenly became very heavy. He and Golden Lion are friends. They are not very close, but they have known each other for decades. However, he did not expect that Golden Lion would eventually die in Akainu's hands. Marco said, "The Marine Akainu is indeed a powerful character. Nowadays, many pirates flee from the wind as soon as they hear the name of Akainu. It is really scary to be able to do this." Whitebeard said, "I said a few years ago that this person will not have low achievements in the future, but he is growing faster than I thought. It was really a miscalculation to not kill him in the first place." In fact, Whitebeard really regretted it. He had a chance to kill Akainu back then, but he didn't do that at the time, so that later he wanted to kill but couldn't kill it. Akainu has grown into a very headache for him. At the same time, the other 3 emperors also received the news, but like Whitebeard, they did not care too much. On the contrary, it was the scattered pirates. After hearing the news, they were all boiled. Thoughts came up. There are a total of 7 positions in 7 warlords of the sea, and there are only 3 people now. Naturally, they did not meet the requirements. Therefore, Marine secretly released a message so that those powerful pirates could run for Shichibukai. Sakazuki Admiral, emergency information, emergency information. Sakazuki was talking with Doberman, and suddenly Jonathan hurried over, shouting nervously. Akainu frowned. Jonathan was one of his powerful assistants. He knew that he was talking to Doberman, but he really rushed in. There must be something urgent, so he told Doberman first, apologized, and then asked Jonathan. "Jonathan, what made you so flustered?" Jonathan looked very ugly, and he immediately said, "Sakazuki Admiral, it's your disciple Asana that has an accident." Akainu, who was still sitting steadily, stood up abruptly when he heard this, and an astonishing haki burst out of him, shattering all the surrounding tables and chairs, shocking both Doberman and Jonathan. "You said something happened to Asana. What's the matter? Please make it clear." Akainu couldn't manage that much, so he asked Jonathan eagerly. Seeing Akainu's appearance, Jonathan's heart is also very nervous. He has been with Akainu for so long, and it is the first time he has seen Akainu such a gaffe. One can imagine how important Lasana is in Akainu's heart. Jonathan said quickly. When Lucas Commodore and Miss Lasana were in the New World, they were attacked by pirates from 4 Emperors, Beast's pirates, and suffered heavy losses. Miss Lasana and Lucas Commodore were missing. Only a few soldiers escaped and went to the Marine G5 branch base to convey information, which was just passed by Claude Vice Admiral. Beast's pirates. Akainu heard the words, and the aura on his body was even stronger, as if it could explode at any time. Lasana and Lucas are missing. Did they get caught by Beast's pirates or escape? Doberman on the side saw that Akainu might lose control at any time, and quickly asked Jonathan. Jonathan shook his head and said, I don't know, the news from Vice Admiral Claude didn't clearly explain it, but according to several soldiers who escaped, it was probably caught by Beast's pirates. Akainu walked out without saying a word. Doberman knew what he was going to do when he saw his behavior, so he rushed to Akainu and stopped Akainu. Sakazuki, calm down first. This matter involves Beast's pirates. It's not a trivial matter. You can't act impulsively. If it was someone else, Akainu would definitely shoot him flying, but Doberman would still be able to hear him. No matter who it is, if you dare to do something to Lasana, I will let him die without a place to bury him. I will go to see Marshal Sengoku first. In Sengoku's office, after Akainu rushed in and found that there were not only Sengoku but Garp and Kizaru inside, he didn't hesitate to tell Sengoku directly and hope that Sengoku could lead him to kill Beast's pirates. No, absolutely not. Sengoku shook his head like a rattle. Sengoku's answer obviously made Akainu very dissatisfied. He asked loudly, why? Beast's pirates captured my people and attacked my men. If we don't teach them a lesson, don't you think we Marine is a bully? Hearing Akainu's dissatisfied shout, Sengoku said, this incident involves the 4 Emperors and Beast's pirates. You can't attack it so easily. You know it's a critical moment. The strategy is launched. If the pirate 4 Emperors is shot at this time, the consequences will be disastrous. Akainu said angrily. I don't know what will happen, but I know, if I don't do anything, what will my subordinates do? Where is the face of our Marine? Being yelled so disrespectfully by Akainu in front of Garp and Kizaru, Rao couldn't help getting angry because of Sengoku's character. He pointed to Akainu and said, Sakazuki, don't forget your identity. You are Marine Admiral. You shoulder the responsibility of Marine. You want to go to war with Beast's pirates, just to save your disciple. For her alone, do you have to sacrifice so many soldiers' lives? As soon as these words came out, Akainu's whole body was shocked, and he looked at Sengoku in disbelief. Even Garp and Kizaru in the room changed their faces. Sengoku was blatantly accusing Akainu of acting for personal reasons. Akainu took a deep breath and said with a heavy tone, it turns out that I was this kind of person in the eyes of the Marshal. In your eyes, I did this for my own disciples. You are right. This is indeed part of it. The reason, but it is more because the pirate 4 Emperors has completely ignored our Marines. They even dared to fight my boat. What else are they afraid to do? You must know that Lasana and Lucas are using special large warships, and one is his disciple, the other is his captain. They are the closest people to him, but Beast's pirates is still doing it. You can imagine and knowing, they didn't put him in their eyes at all. What I want to save today is not only my disciples, but also to avenge all the soldiers killed by the pirates. Tell me about my responsibility. What is my responsibility? I know very well, since you don't agree to give if I send soldiers, then I don't make it difficult for you. You are afraid of causing a war between Marine and the New World Pirate 4 Emperors. Well, I don't make it difficult for you either. Akainu adjusted her suit, took off the coat of justice, and solemnly said, this time, I still want to go, but I am not going as Marine Admiral, but in my own capacity, I am going to save me people. After that, he turned around and left the office regardless of Sengoku's ugly expression. Hi, Sakazuki. As soon as Akainu left, Kizaru waved his hand to Sengoku and immediately chased Akainu. When only Sengoku and Garp were left in the room, Sengoku yelled angrily. What does he mean? He is venting to me, dissatisfied with me? Is there still me in his eyes? Marshal? Looking at Sengoku who was yelling in anger, Garp sighed and said, Sengoku, what you just said is really a bit serious. It has completely lost your previous demeanor. Sengoku, who was already very angry, immediately stared at Garp when he heard Garp's words, and yelled, Garp, do you think this is my problem? Didn't you just see his attitude towards me? Okay, let me calm down first. Garp pulled Sengoku, pressed him on the chair, and said, I didn't say it was your problem, but you didn't understand the relationship between Sakazuki and his disciple. Both your own daughters must be good, but you just said something like that. It's not strange if he doesn't explode because of his hot personality. Sengoku sighed heavily, and said with anger, even so, he can't be so presumptuous. Look at him and lose the code of justice. What is he doing? Do you want to break with me? Garp usually doesn't pay attention, but he is still very reliable at this time. He persuaded. He is that character, but his behavior is really wrong, and he can't be like this. But you have to forgive him, and care is messy. Not to mention the disciple he cares about most, and so many of his subordinates have been killed by Beast's pirates. If it is you, are you angry? Sengoku snorted coldly. What about getting angry? Can't he see the current situation? The people above obviously don't want us to fight the 4 emperors at this time, so they proposed 7 warlords of the sea to suppress it. New World 4 emperors, if we act on Kaido, it is inevitable that the other 3 emperors of the pirates will not feel that their lips are dead and their teeth are cold. Together, it will be the most terrifying at that time. Speaking of this, Rao is someone like Sengoku, with a heavy color on his face. He is not afraid of a pirate emperor, but if the pirate 4 emperors join forces, naval headquarters is not an opponent, even the world government is difficult. Deal with. At this moment, Kizaru walked back, and Garp immediately asked, how is it, did you stop it? Kizaru shrugged, and said, no stop, he almost started with me, so there is no way, I can only let him go. Sengoku snorted dissatisfiedly. Whatever he wants, he can do whatever he wants. I have never seen anyone who doesn't obey orders. Except for his own private army, he is not allowed to give him any support. Paluzolino, you immediately go down to deliver orders. Even with Garp's persuasion, he still couldn't forgive Akainu's behavior just now and resolutely refused to let people support Akainu. Kizaru hesitated and said, Sakazuki's private army is not large, and Beast's pirates is strong. If he really fights, he might be very difficult to fight. Isn't he really going to send people? He and Akainu have been in friendship for more than 10 years. Although he doesn't deal with each other very well, at this time, he still doesn't want Akainu to take risks, but he can't violate Sengoku's orders, so he is very embarrassed. Sengoku said angrily, didn't he think he's great? Then let him go alone. I want to see what miracle he can do this time. As a soldier, he doesn't even follow the commander's orders. This kind of ethos can never be cultivated, and no one should persuade anymore. I have decided.